rise for the pledge of allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any announcements?
No.
Okay.
Nothing else to the agenda?
Anything else on the agenda?
No, there's no changes.
No, I'm good.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second? Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, agenda's approved. Anybody here for public input? All right. Dawn, we're going to address the Sawyer thing under the agenda in just a little bit. Do you mind? I'm assuming that's
why I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind? We'll discussing that then? Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks. Mary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't know if you were aware that two of our businessmen are having a fundraiser for the people down in Houston. Okay. And I just gave this to the town administrator. So it's Morris Babcock from The Cottage and Chuck King from Fresh Air Sports on West Main Street. So they're collecting anything and they're hoping to get something down there next week. But the big thing is to get a truck down there. Right now they've got, Calvin gave them a storage unit this afternoon because there's so much stuff all over the place. Mm-hmm. And CJ gave them a lot of bags and labels and boxes so that they can pack stuff. So if anybody has anything, they'd appreciate it.
All right, great. Thank you. And unfortunately, yes, Jim, it looks like there might be another storm bearing down in the southeast too, so you might not have heard the last of this.
Just the keys.
Yeah,
Jim, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, this is not really on public input, but I did want to follow up with Mary Spinner's comment, given that the two businessmen giving aid to Houston, the town of Ayer, these disasters hit everyone in some way. And I, in fact, have a nephew in Houston who has lost everything. Mm-hmm. And many of my, quote, Facebook friends and such are helping out. They're alive and well, but complete loss. The house is under 30 feet of water. Some may have been watching Fox News when they saw the Fox News network do a piece on a family from Weymouth. That is, in fact, my nephew, Steve and Emmy Haskell. They're now down in Houston, but they moved 4 towns away to Lumberton, Texas, which was as far as they could get away for the floods, and it's still underwater. So again, I want to thank the town of Ayer, particularly Cottage and Fresh Air Sports for these efforts.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, good. No, thank you. I appreciate that for all the businessmen that helped. It is amazing how people do come together with these tragedies to assist others. So hopefully we can do everything we can to help, and maybe we can get that announcement out there after this meeting. Anybody else sorry? What happens when you're late? You don't turn your phone off. Anybody else public influence, sir? All right, Gary, had the agenda on the. Yep. Sorry.
Okay, summary of warrants that I signed on behalf of the board. 816 payroll warrant, 18-03 for $307,492.18. And 2007 830 payroll, 1804, $313,806.16.
All right, great. Thank you. If there's anybody else, Robert, do you want to the town planner?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if there is an objection, I'd ask Mr. Mark Archambault to join us up at the table. As the board is aware, the town received 10 applications for the position of town planner, and the search committee comprised of myself, the planning board chairman, Mr. Fay, DPW superintendent, Mr. Wetzel, the economic development director, Mr. Minoyan, and Ms. Antonellis narrowed the selection down to the top 3 candidates to interview. And at the conclusion of that process, the search committee unanimously recommended Mr. Mark Archambault for the position of town planner for appointment for your consideration tonight by the Board of Selectmen. And Mr. Chairman, if I could just briefly, as the board has Mr. Archambault's extensive credentials in your packet, as you can see from his resume, he holds both undergraduate and master's degree in environmental design and in regional planning, both from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Additionally, he is a certified planner. He previously served as the town planner for the town of Orange, Massachusetts, a city planner for the city of Nashua, New Hampshire, a regional planner for the Nashua Regional Planning Commission, a regional planner for the towns of Hollis and Brookline, New Hampshire, served as a smart growth planner for the Nashua River Watershed Association, and as a land use agent for the town of Ashby, Massachusetts. Specifically, what impressed myself and the committee, and was further backed up by his extensive professional references that he provided, are his extensive qualifications and experience specifically with municipal planning, writing of zoning bylaws, writing of solar bylaws, writing of site plan regulations, all things that this board and the planning board we've all discussed and need. His land use credentials, experience also with stormwater and water planning, economic development, planning and zoning, grant writing, GIS experience, and really a proven record over the last almost 30 years of generating positive results in the field of planning. So with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mark Archambault and welcome him to the town of Ayer, and he's before the board for any questions at this time. And at the conclusion of your interview, I'm respectfully recommending that he be appointed by the Board of Selectmen as the town planner at a grade 13, step 3, with a salary of $75,982 and an effective start date of Tuesday, September 26th. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for allowing that. Mark, nice to meet you. Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I think when we discussed this position, I know we had this discussion as almost like a hybrid position, the planner, but it seems like your experience kind of incorporates a little bit of everything, the stormwater, economic development to some degree. So, I think that's how I envision the position. I was kind of hoping there was a candidate out there that could encompass all those. So I'm happy to see that you do have all that. And you are familiar with the town and see.
Yes, I've worked here a little bit in some of the consulting work we did through the Watershed Association. Yes, and I am familiar with Ayer as a town, and
I really don't have anything. So, just make a motion to appoint Mark Archambault as town planner effective September 26th at grade 13, step 3.
Second? All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Sorry, when I used to two here, it's a little...
that's
Thanks,
fine.
Lou.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We welcome you and hope you hit the ground running. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
we're
Great qualifications.
yeah, no, it's great. It'll be a great help to the planning board as well.
Yeah.
So,
You look qualified.
Yes, and I really look forward to working with Ayer. I think it'll be a very interesting position.
we have a lot of things going on.
Oh,
so.
it's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Nice meeting you, Mark.
Welcome. forward to getting to know you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Where you put them?
I report.
Discuss that later.
That's great.
All right.
Hello.
Hey,
He's just
Lisa.
here to stand behind our appointment.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Hi, Alicia, how are you?
Good, how are you?
It's a little chaotic at the moment, but I'm doing all right.
That's good. So, the first one was the air subsidized housing inventory update, which I had put off reporting to you because I was waiting to hear back, and then finally decided that DHCT is taking a little bit too long, and we're doing master plan, and a lot of issues are coming up about subsidized housing, so I thought I needed to give you that report so that you could be up to speed on where we're at on that. So our subsidized housing list at this point, before the additions we had done, brought us at the 8.43. We submitted 13 units of additional housing to DHCD, and that's what I'm waiting for approval on. But we're also losing 11 units, and I know as I've been sending mortgages to be released to you. So we're losing 11 units this year and another 11 units next year. But overall, over the next 5 to 6 years, we're going to lose 87 units. And that was all the units that the Air Housing Rehabilitation Program had done. And up until, I think it was about 6-7 years ago, we were allowed to put our rehabilitation units because we had qualified them as low to moderate. And when we rehabilitated them, it was under the understanding that as long as they were with us, they were low to moderate. But the state changed it, and now they require a LIP agreement or to be able to count those units. So those units are all maturing and will be coming off in the next 5 to 6 years. And that's 87 units of our total. And our total number right now is, well, 290, but we're putting 13 more on. So that gets us, and we're losing 11, so it'll be 292 of affordable housing units. So it's quite clear that we need to, and so at the end of this year, we'll be at 8.5%. But we're still,
What's the threshold for the state that you want to see?
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're really struggling to get to that 10%, especially with the loss of units. So Alan and I started brainstorming about what we needed to do to make sure that we replace those 87 units that we're going to lose. And one of the first things we talked about doing was a symposium to really start evaluating the whole question. And what's really interesting about this, as we're doing the master plan, it's coming forward that diversity in this town is reoccurring all the time. This is a major issue for many people in this town. So I just wanted to give you an update on that and say, yes, it's on our radar, we're working on it, and we'll keep you posted, and we'd love to hear about what you want us to be doing too. And so,
Oh, we know you work hard at it. I mean, I think it's a problem in a lot of communities to try to get
Yes.
to that 10%. It's
yes. Well, not only get to the 10%, we always have attrition, but make sure that we're aware of what's going on and plan for it in the future. And that's what the symposium, and we're right there with the state too. If you look at what both Deval Patrick and Charlie Baker have been talking about, one of the major problems in the Massachusetts is housing, so that we keep all our, we educate a lot of people in this state, and a lot of them leave because it's so expensive to live. So affordable housing is an issue that's right across the state. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I hear it a lot in various communities. Is it somewhat a product of the booming real estate market that Ayer has become now too? Because obviously property values have increased. So if a building turns over, or
yes,
be apt to be renovated to a higher end or a,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people recognize, oh my goodness, there's a train here. You can get into Boston, you can get into Cambridge, very easily. So it's becoming a very desirable community. But we're also hearing that everybody wants to make sure, but we want to keep it, we want to keep the diversity. We want to keep the flavor of the town that it is. So we need to be ahead of that and really looking.
That's why we hired a planner.
Yes. And so we need to be ahead of that and really looking at how we're going to make that happen. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. Was there any?
Thank you.
No.
Okay. So the next one is Mr. Robert France, the owner of the Fletcher Building. He had come to the town zoning board to put a 7th unit in the Fletcher Building on the first floor. But we have an affordable housing agreement with him when we did that project through CDBG. And when the affordable housing agreement was written, it was 4 of his 6 units are affordable. And it's a 15-year agreement, but it was written and they wrote 67% instead of saying 4 out of the 6 or anything like that. The requirement with DHCD is that it has to be 51%. So we're suggesting an amendment which makes it 51% and no less than 4 units so that he's in compliance with his affordable housing agreement. Now, we have already talked to DHCD and they are in agreement with this.
So the 7th unit would push the percentage down
Yes.
technically. in the way
Yes,
it's
but
worded. Okay.
not under 51%. So we're, DHCD is in agreement with the wording changes, and if you note, I don't know if yours is in yellow, but the change is 51% and no less than 4 units. And if you agree with that, so what I'm looking for is a vote on that, and then the 2 agreements, signature by chair, and then I would be sending them on to DHCD.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to the affordable housing restriction for Fletcher Building with signature by the chair.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna leave those with you. What, yeah. And just where, okay, thanks. And the last one is, we're looking at our grant cycle. And originally we thought we might be doing an economic development grant, but we're not going to do that at this point. So we're looking at, we've been talking to Mark Russell over at DPW and talking about planning grants and of course housing rehab grants for the CDBG grant cycle. And that is this fall we would develop a grant and the grant application would go in, well, if they keep pushing it back, it used to be January, now it's March. So, but we need your approval to go forward with this and start holding public hearings and talking to people as to what possible grants we should be going after on the CDBG.
On that note, Pleasant Street looks nice.
Oh, good, thank you. Yes, I think we painted the lines today.
That was
didn't we?
today, right? Today, tomorrow. I saw that.
Tomorrow when it rains?
If it rains. Sometime next week. These are pretty nice.
Yeah, sometime this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And we still have a couple little things.
Yeah,
We're working out.
we've got a few little
Every time
final.
we change the grades, it kind of moves the water
Sure.
from this guy's driveway to that guy's.
Yeah,
driveway.
especially on a hill like that.
Yeah.
Now that was, the Pond Street was the same, was a similar.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and we're looking to possibly go back into that neighborhood, so that's what we're talking about. Taking a look at, the neighborhood, the Grove Street, Pond Street neighborhood, whether we should do a planning grant, whether we should do another street. Obviously, we'll try and do rehab houses. I'm gonna close out that grant, and you'll probably see me this next time or the time after with the closeouts. And I'll give you a report on, I can tell you, we did 9 units, 5 units of housing. Our rehab was only 100,000, so we did very well on that, and we did Pleasant Street this time. And so it'll be something, a combination grant of some type that we'll go for.
No, it came out well.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
So we're gonna have to hire someone to do that?
No, we're gonna try and do it in-house this
Yeah.
time.
In-house.
We have all sorts of,
Okay.
people to help now.
Seeing you're all going to be sharing an office, you should be able to.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah. We're going to try and do it
It's been
in-house.
successful in the past, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good program. You guys have done a really good job with it.
yeah.
So we need an approval to go forward and start the public input process on this.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You got it.
Nice to see you as always. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good
night,
evening.
lady.
Thank you. Alan?
Alicia's boss.
Good evening, all. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and members of the board, just if I may briefly, before I turn it over to Alan, as the board is aware, through your authorization this past July, as the board is aware, we were approached by American Superconductor that is currently on the Devens campus that would like to come to the town of Ayer and occupy the former Canes facility at 114 East Main Street. And, per your vote in July requesting that we negotiate a special tax agreement for consideration by the Board of Selectmen and subject to approval by town meeting, what is presented in your packet is the proposed agreement reached between American Superconductor and the town of Ayer's negotiating team. The town of Ayer's negotiating team was headed up by myself, along with the assessor, Mr. Hogan, the economic development director, Alan Anoyan, and Ms. Antonellis. And tonight in the audience, if you want to come up, is Mr. John Kasiba, who is the CFO of American Superconductor. And not to steal any of Alan's thunder, and through you, Mr. Chair, sort of the plan for
More
tonight.
enthusiastic coming from Alan.
Yes, is to have Alan give an overview.
But he's more legitimate.
And then through you, afford Mr. Kasiber an opportunity to tell us about American Superconductor a little bit, and also anything that you want to add about the proposed agreement. As the board and American Superconductor, where this proposed agreement is subject to the Board of Selectmen's approval, but also subject to town meeting approval. Additionally, because of the very tight timeline that American Superconductor has before it for this move, and through the approvals they need, they're respectfully requesting that the Board of Selectmen call a special town meeting for the consideration of this item. Now, the fall town meeting is October 23rd, which I did explain to American Superconductor, and in an ideal world that would have worked. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on the time horizon. So one of the things tonight, we're proposing consideration if the board would call a special town meeting for Monday, September 25th, Monday, September 25th at 7 p.m. here. And we can talk about that more this evening. Finally, the agreement that is in your packet, in addition to being negotiated by both sides, has been reviewed by town council, specifically Attorney Rich, and has also been reviewed by the Mass Office of Business Development, which holds, as the board is aware, is the state certifying authority on special tax agreements. And lastly, in terms of the terms, it's a 15-year agreement that they would move by March 31st of 2018. If they, for any reason that the agreement is decertified, they would pay back 50% of the local tax incentive. They will be bringing initially 82 jobs to Ayer, with plans to expand upon that. The agreement provides for a local preference for American Superconductor in hiring contractors, landscapers, and so forth. They also have committed to developing and implementing a high school innovation and technology apprenticeship program with our regional school district, both open to this district as well as to Neshoba. There is, per the agreement, no demolition of the building for the first 15 years, and I'll have Alan speak more to that. One of the things is there's an opportunity, in addition to the opportunity for further economic development in Ayer, in addition to having 82 high-tech jobs initially come to Ayer, is also the opportunity to preserve, and which they will develop and expand upon, a property that really should remain, if you will, classified as commercial industrial, in this case, high-tech. The alternative, one of the things we are concerned about, is that the building would just be torn down and have some baseline retail put in there. Nothing against that. But anyway, so with that, I think I've said enough on setting the stage. I'll turn it over to Alan, through you, Mr. Chairman, and then Mr. Kasiba, through you, to tell us about this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Chairman, for the record, Alan Minoyan, Director of Community Economic Development, Town of Ayer. I only do one slide tonight, very uncharacteristic for me. It looks like a simple... Oh, it's one slide, but it's 90 minutes. I mean, it's an entire... Okay. Seemingly a simple image, but a very powerful image. Here is the town of Ayer. You see it, of course, surrounded our very unique kind of linear town here. We have a population of 7,500 in our town, approximately right now. What you're seeing there, though, and the source of this is, to me, one of the most powerful and effective tools folks like myself use. This is longitudinal household employment dynamics, LED on the map, U.S. Census, all done through the Department of Labor. What you're seeing here, though, our total number of jobs, employment in the town of Ayer, Massachusetts, is 4,300. Now, again, our population is approximately 7,500, but right now, the number of jobs put up in our town is 4,300. What you see there is an inflow-outflow chart. And what you're looking at there is each and every morning, of the 4,300 jobs here and folks that are employed in our town, and by the way, the folks who live in Ayer are residents of Ayer, okay, and are employed. The total of that is 3,776. Live in Ayer, and I work somewhere. Okay. Each morning, the total number of folks in Ayer, that total I just gave you, get in their cars, and you see 3,356 of them drive out of this town for their employment and livelihood. Almost our entire workforce of folks who reside in Ayer. On the very same morning each day, and by the way, that 420 represents the number of folks who do live in Ayer and work in Ayer. So you see a very small percentage. The number, the 3,880, these are folks who work in Ayer, and one of those 4,300 jobs, they live elsewhere, though. The compelling thing I'm not showing here, though, we know the direction these folks are coming from, where they live, and where the folks who live here in Ayer, where they're going for their livelihood. Almost that entire number of folks in Ayer that get up and leave our town every morning, they head east and southeast in the Boston and Metro Boston, and they're working in high-paying positions. High income levels, high education levels, information technology, innovation, finance, insurance, heading that way. Each morning, though, you see that large number of 3 that come into our town, and these are the folks that work here all day. The interesting thing of this is the town literally is 2 different towns in one day, populated by 2 completely different groups of people. The folks that are coming in and working here, and this is a crushing and fascinating number. I think we go off the scales here in the state of Massachusetts. Of all those folks that are working here in Ayer, 36.5% of them, 36.5% of them are working in manufacturing. I know of no other town that even comes close to that. Then we sort of go down to healthcare and social. Most of these folks are working at the National Medical Center. Okay, come in each morning. And then we do have a fairly good group of professional scientific One number that's of great concern, only 0.2% of the folks that work in air work in information technology. 0.2%. And that is the future of the Massachusetts economy in the 21st century. So what we have here in Ayer is a rather unique situation. It's a working town. We're not a bedroom community. We're an enterprising working community. But the folks that live here have to seek the employment based on their education and what they're aspiring to. They need to go out of this town. I've been in this business over 28 years, and I always get a kick out of folks say, in government or public officials say, well, we created X amount number of jobs, for this period. Government creates no private sector jobs.
I agree.
All we can do, the best we do is, first, you go out and you identify and attract businesses you want to come. All you can do is create climate conditions that you can do that. So that's the proactive part of what folks like me do. The other part of this, believe it or not, most of the way this often happens is good fortune and opportunity. I woke up this morning, I came to work, I did not expect this to happen. This is what we're dealing with in this case. And when that happens in this game of municipal economic development, what you have to do is to be highly prepared and have frankly, a high-performance posture in the community, that you're ready to engage in a time that we have to function like a business now. That's not always easy for government, local government. This is what's happening here. In this case, I'd love to say, we worked hard and we attracted this great company here. I'd love to take that credit and glory. It's not how it happened.
Luck, huh?
In this case, okay, and this often happens in this game. You sit, someone says, I'm thinking of coming here. Okay, I'm going to make this pretty easy on you. Okay, going to make me look good, all of us look good, fine. So the whole point, though, and I'm sorry to digress. See, Carly, I'm already, okay. To wrap this up.
We're used to it, don't worry about it.
To wrap this up. Ayer's done a very good job. We have great companies here in our town, but we have an imbalance. We have a lot of jobs based on processing, logistics, distribution, storage, manufacturing. That's fine. Our concern with that is those are the jobs that are going to increasingly become automated. We're going to lose it, and that's just where it's going. And we need to diversify our industry. One thing that strikes me every day, our downtown, if you walk around downtown here during the day, there are very few people on our sidewalks. I would not encourage, this is dangerous to be saying, but anyone to come down and do retailing in this downtown is taking a huge risk. We don't have, why? Because we don't have a strong, robust, professional working class here in our town during the daytime hours. They go. They come back at night. You ever notice? Downtown Ayer is hopping at night and
Saturday
ripping.
nights, you can't
Why?
walk
What suddenly changed? They came back home. They have the disposable income, they want to do this. So here we have an opportunity with American Superconductor to come in to a plant that's gone through a certain life cycle and it's ready for a renaissance. The gentleman that bought this property, he acquired it at such a low price. Canes and Treehouse Foods, He was very upfront and honest with several months ago. There was a good probability he was just going to demolish this building, as he said, scrape the site. Because he got it for so little, clear it off, just put up some more retail, maybe some drive-through stuff on the Rotary. These are not the jobs and employment that we need to get us through the next century. Here's an opportunity. He made the property so appealing, if you will, for American Super to look at for their proposed relocation. The site's right. Everyone on our team rose to the occasion to get everyone together. And now it's in the hands, thank goodness, of the people of Ayer at town meeting. This is the type of company we need these important folks to be gravitated to us so we can project out to the world. This is the new Ayer of the 21st century. This is a world-class firm. And the work doesn't stop if we're forcing the people of Ayer to decide, yes, let's do what we can to participate and bring them to our community, make them part of our community. That's when the work begins. We begin working with the folks there, and we're very impressed that they're willing. We propose doing a program with our high school and with technical school. We want to raise the next generation of our young professional working class who are going to live and work here and start their companies here. I believe the young people that will be exposed to this company in Ayer, 3 of them, maybe 5 of them, see, this is amazing what I saw. I'm going to start my firm just as Dan did, the CEO of this company. And by the way, the CEO of this company lives at Devon's, here in our community. So for all these reasons, this is a wonderful opportunity. I hope we seize the opportunity, and it really is going to be catalytic. And by the way, they're going to really do a wonderful job with the property on the Rotary. And I know Selectman Hillman,
You just sold
Mr.
me
Chairman.
right there. You know how I feel about that.
Okay, you and I have both spent time
Yes.
out on that Rotary.
Yes.
Here's a chance to set a new standard of excellence in the Rotary, what that Rotary represents, and where it can go in the future.
Wow.
So for all these reasons, this is all very exciting, sound like me, and the timing couldn't be better. And we want to start working on those numbers. So let's get those arrows going a little bit in the other direction, saying they're coming in here to work, and our people are staying here. our
So
highly
Dan, you
educated
moving
people.
here?
John.
This is John.
John, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I know before I was on, you had a similar agreement with L3 down
Yeah.
in my neighborhood, and that has worked out fantastic. I think they've moved many more jobs here since they originally went in 2011.
They are growing, and I
They're a
spoke
great
to Seal a few weeks ago.
company,
He is
great
so,
neighbor.
he said to me, pleased that they came here
Yeah.
and everything in town, so that's a great success story, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
John, please tell us a little bit about your company and your vision and all that
Problem.
good stuff.
Thanks, Alan. Alan said we had 10 minutes combined, so I think I'm done.
I don't share like
Alan
that.
can't get through it all in 10 minutes.
I think he lied.
So I'd like to formally thank Chairman Hillman and Clark Luker for considering putting this agreement in front of the taxpayers. We don't take what we ask or negotiated lightly. We know it's a big commitment of the town. So as much as Alan's saying it's a gift that we're providing to you, we feel it's a gift and a shared relationship that we see for years to come. So this negotiation was not the reason we're here today, and we're essentially asking for an accelerated schedule. Is it did take some time to negotiate this agreement, and so we're here today with the fact that everybody around the table worked really hard to get it to this point, and for that I'm grateful for the team to do that. So Alan and Robert asked me just to spend a few minutes explaining who we are and what we do. So I got a couple slides. I won't belabor you with details, but so you already know we're headquartered in Devon's. We're in a pretty big facility. It's 355,000 square feet. It's a world-class manufacturing operation. It was originally, we moved in there to support what's called our 1G manufacturing process. I'll explain that in a little more detail. But taking a step back, we were founded in 1987 with really the goal to revolutionize how electricity was going to be distributed and transmitted across the world. And we're going to do that by utilizing what's called superconductor wire. And we're going to make cables and to do that. And that process has gone on for 30 years, and we're right at the brink of commercialization for that product. And so we're excited to do that.
And that's a huge issue right now, right? The electricity and the grid and all that.
All over.
Yeah.
Yes. So sorry.
Timing is good.
Yep. And when you ask how we do that, it's really through two, what I would say, proprietary core technologies. One, we have what's called smart materials, and that's the core HTS product. And I'll explain. I have some props. I need some help, so I'll show you some props in a second. And that is the smart material. In addition to that, on some other products that we have, particularly on voltage management, we use what's called smart software and smart controls to help us control the voltage better on the grid. So between those two core technologies, we're able to, what we believe, essentially provide smarter, cleaner, better energy for the whole world. We're going to focus on the U.S. first, and then we're going to keep moving throughout the whole world. So I have a small video that I just wanted to show. If it works, great. If not, we'll skip it. Fantastic. Wow, Carly, good job.
Maybe one of the lights?
It's 2 minutes, so
Just the
put it in the right scale.
Reflect off that.
Things are lives easy. In even saves them. It keeps us. So, have you ever wondered who's it? At AMSC, we believe in smarter, cleaner, better energy. From supplying superconductors that transport more power in less space, to advanced power electronic systems that maintain quality on the grid. And from strengthening the power grid to support more solar installations, to designing more efficient wind turbines. We are ensuring that the future is bright and sustainable. At AMSC, we don't generate the energy. We keep it moving. Because the truth is that life never stops. And we're there every second, never standing still. Never stop with AMS.
So, if you can go to the second slide. So we talk about moving power. I think when, essentially we have 3 blocks, right? We have what's called within the urban environment.
Sorry.
So within the urban environment, how can we better transmit power within the urban environment? One of the biggest challenges they have is, particularly in the cities, they have an old infrastructure that was built underground with a certain footprint that could carry a certain amount of power. The power would be limited to X amount of EMBA or whatever. Over time, those cities are now hitting their limits, right? So as they hit their limits, they really are left with extremely costly solutions to upgrade that electric grid. They can rip out all those older cables, but many times they can't because there's not enough space. They've already used this much space. So when we talk about HTS, to give you an idea, our HTS product, this is the wire that's used to make a power cable with our technology. This wire here is the equivalent of this. So it gives you a scale of how smaller and more efficient our product is. That's what we mean by smart materials. We take this wire and we make a cable with our partners. And so this cable, and I'll pass it around so you can get an idea. The cable is weaved in. This is the secret sauce, for lack of a better term. But then there's a whole bunch of other layers that help transmit that power. This cable can replace, I'm not giving you a ballpark, but if you look at that REG solution, we call it the resilient electric grid, it can replace all those cables to do the same amount of power. So now you can essentially double the power because you can fit 2 of these where all those were, and now we can fit them in the same exact footprint. It doesn't require changing a significant upgrade. It's still an expensive project, but at least it's a feasible project for the utilities. And that's really where we are with this product. I'll pass that around.
So you're basically done what FiOS did for phone lines, right?
I never really heard of that, but that's not a bad way of
that's
looking at
basically
it.
what it was, right? You had the copper wire,
Yep.
and now it's all,
Yep.
a couple strands, and you can do everything.
So the other products we have, and these are the reason I'm showing this, because I want you to see what the factories. Ultimately, what I want to tie this back to is what does it mean for the town of Ayer, right? And so there's other products we do. We have a VVO product that we just introduced. It's a volt bar optimization product. We have a DVAR product, which manages voltage on the transmission grid. All those products, and the DVAR product is a well-established product today that's being sold throughout the world. These products are being built right now in Devens. So the DVAR product is being built in Devens. The Reg Power Solutions, that's all the equipment we have to make our HTS wire. And the VVO product that we just launched, that's going to be built in Devens. These are all products that are being built in Devens that we intend to transfer over to Ayer. In addition to that, we have two other sides of the business. We have the WindTech side of the business, which if you look at the upper hand corner, you can see that it doesn't look all that far different than the VVO and the DVAR. It utilizes the same smart control methodology, and what that helps us do on the ECS is we help, we're the brains of wind turbines. So we design a wind turbine for OEMs, and then we sell them these electric control systems. Those are built in Romania. That's part of our WindTech operation. That's our primary customer is in India. Mm-hmm. So it's really not cost effective to make them in the U.S. because then we'd have to ship them all the way to India. Sure. But to give you an idea of those products. And then lastly, we ultimately have a goal to protect the U.S. Navy, to help the U.S. Navy protect their ships. And we do that by a ship protection system that utilizes HTS technology. And so that it's essentially a cable that helps either detect or mask mines from the ship's footprint. I can't get too much detail into that given the security restrictions, but that's an active product for us. So these are the products we make. To give you a real rough idea, of the products that you'll see in Ayer, it's the bottom section. So it's the SPS, the DVAR, the VVO, and the Reg.
If I might, Sean, just what's, again, really important about this prospect, this will be their corporate headquarters, engineering and design, and manufacturing production. That's really...
Taking my next slide away.
Oops, sorry, John. Okay.
Your 10 minutes is gone.
All
right. Good night, thank you.
So my last slide is simple, right? We went through a process. So we announced in the April-May timeframe that we're going to move our corporate headquarters. And the reason we're moving it is not because we weren't satisfied with Devens, not that we would ever abandon a community or anything like that. That footprint of that building of 355,000 square feet was designed for our 1G manufacturing process of this wire. We moved on to a 2G manufacturing process, which requires about 25% of the square footage that the 1G did. So we have a building that's way too big for what we need, and quite frankly, Devens where we are in Devens is an expensive area to reside. Mm-hmm. We stayed there a long time. We've been a great corporate citizen. We were their first anchor tenant in Devens, right. So we know what it is to commit to a community. We were one of the first ones to do it. We're proud of that fact. It was a tough decision to leave, and then we started a process. Right, we started a process to evaluate where we would go, and we were uncapped in our search. Mm-hmm. We searched as far as the West Coast. We have some customers there who really pushed us and challenged us to consider moving on the West Coast. We had some other customers in the central region that asked us to move. Ultimately, though, we narrowed our search down to call it a 60-mile radius of Devens. We really wanted to minimize the impact of our employees. Sure. So, needless to say, Ayer came to the top. I'm not going to. I know it's a long meeting, so I don't want to go too long, but irrespective of the tax incentive package that we're asking for, there was a huge amount of benefit of coming to Ayer. We see it. The building we selected is on the rail bed. We see a real benefit of that. One of the big things we're concerned about is commitment to keep the town in a we're coming from Devens, which is a real showcase of an area when you're a high-tech company. Mm-hmm. And one of the things when we considered Devens is we met with everybody. We met, and the town presented very well that they're committed to support our needs as we want to grow the business. And we're proud of the fact that we did downsize and ultimately ask you for the agreement that we're asking for. So what are we going to do? We're going to move our corporate headquarters. We're going to move all GridTech manufacturing operations. Those are all those products that we mentioned. We're going to move all the administrative support functions as well as R&D, that are in Devens into the Ayer facility. We're going to, The agreement's more specific, and I'm sure you have copies of the agreement. We're going to invest substantial money to establish a world-class manufacturing facility in there, right? That's the cornerstone of who we are. And so we're going to take a building that if you had an opportunity to see it before, we have before and after pictures, and we have the before pictures, and we'll have some after pictures if we're successful with this. And I think you're going to find that we did the town proud. We're renovating the whole thing, office, manufacturing, the whole 9 yards. And lastly, we want to become a partner to the local community. Clark Luca, you joked around and asked if I'm going to move to the town. Probably not. I'm in Dunstable, though, not too far. My wife is a Dunstable resident, so I'm really familiar with the community. But when you ask what I did today, a typical day, I bought my truck from Jarvis Ford, in the last year. I had coffee at the local coffee shop today, so you would have saw me walking around. Before this meeting, I went to the McDonald's locally, So we
And
are...
he's seen it Subway often, too, in downtown.
So we are committed to the local community already, and I think the fact that we're even going to get closer to the community will just establish it more. We've highlighted a few, what I would say, low-hanging fruit that we can offer. For us, these are things we'd want to do anyway. We definitely want to establish an innovation apprenticeship with the all the kids in the surrounding community. It only benefits us, so we see that as a win-win. We're going to make all reasonable efforts to use local commerce. I think many of our contractors today are local, but we're even going to get more localized and make sure that if we can use Ayer contractors, we will. And in that standpoint, if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask, but that's where we stand.
John, thanks for considering us. Appreciate it. You made a wise decision.
Thank you.
When do you plan?
Tell my boss that.
When do you plan on being up and running?
So that's why we're asking for this agreement to be, for lack of a better term, accelerated. Our goal is to get this behind us to start the demolition and move-in process by the end of the calendar year. So very fast.
That is aggressive.
It's an aggressive schedule. Given where we are in some of the delays in negotiation, it might be a little aggressive. But I believe the agreement says no later than March 31st. So we're shooting by the end of the calendar year, but we have to be done by March 31st. And if we can stay on the schedule that we're proposing, I think we'll have no problem doing that.
Did you envision this? Was this envisioned in 1987 that it would get to this point where it is now?
You'd have to ask have to ask a different person that, because I wasn't there in 1987. I think we're disappointed it took, because it has taken us as long as it has to get this product commercialized. The simple fact is the utilities are very reluctant to change and risk, and so this product is a superior product. There's no question, and the utilities won't dispute that. Where the challenge is, it's getting. The utilities are very reluctant to change, and it needs to be a very compelling argument. So what we've had to do is go through a very well-defined process of getting the product tested, piloted, approved. We worked with the government to get some, phased-in approach to get the technology proven and adopted. And we're right at that cusp right now. So we're in a really good shape. I would say in 1987, if you would have told them it would take 30 years, I would say no, they probably didn't anticipate it would take that long.
But you probably wouldn't envision wind power probably back then as solar the way it is now.
I mean, those products were added along the line. Yeah, that was absolutely, you're 100% correct.
And isn't the grid failing? Like, isn't this something the government is going to have to address?
Yeah.
Nationwide. So you're there, but I mean, isn't like 30% of the power, or maybe even more, lost in the grid just from transmission?
You have that.
Staggering.
You also have real security risk right now with the grid. And that's partly the reason why we've been funded. We have projects with the Department of Homeland Security, not the Department of Energy. There's a reason for that. The Department of Homeland Security sees our grid as a critical asset and one that we have to protect nationally.
Will it have to be a secured site? I know L3 had a certain amount of time because they have government contracts to fence it in and make it gated.
The site itself may not, but areas of where we do government work will. So for example, in Devens, we have, call it a quarter of that building is secured for government operation. Sure. The other 3 quarters, because we're an international operation, in some aspects we don't want the whole building secure. But when the time's right, if we have to do that, we'll do it.
No, I think it's fantastic. I think any jobs that we can bring to the community is great, but something that cutting edge like this obviously is fantastic
Yeah.
and good for everybody. And, glad it worked out so far.
That's great. Appreciate your time.
What do we need for a motion?
So I have the document here. This is the spreadsheet.
And Mr. Chairman, if there is an objection, Tom, could you come up to the table, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't see it up there, Tom.
So I can look at it. No, you stay there.
Yes.
We only get to see you usually once a year, Tom, so it's nice to see you.
You don't know why I love the camera.
Bad news usually.
No.
I know.
Nice to see you, Tom.
So, Tom was an integral part of, obviously, of our negotiating team and is the resident expert on STA, TIF, and so forth. And I thought, for the benefit of the board, and this is what's in your packet, but also the benefit of the packet, benefit of the public, excuse me, that we just explain what the agreement, the proposed agreement does. And again, to your question, Selectman Luca, for the purposes of tonight, we're respectfully looking for the board's approval of the agreement, but the agreement only becomes legally effective if approved by town meeting. And as Mr. Kasiber explained, we started these negotiations, as the board is aware, several months ago. And because of the change in that time schedule to meet their schedule for the move and the time frame, as well as certification process and so forth, we're respectfully asking the board to call a special town meeting for Monday, September 25th at 7 p.m. here. It will be a single warrant article, which will be the article for this agreement. We are committed, Alan and I, as we mentioned to the board when you voted the authorization to negotiate it, to do a public forum so we get all the facts out there for the public as to what this is and, more importantly, what it isn't and what the benefits are. And we are also prepared at town meeting as well to make sure that all questions are answered and it's presented. But I think in the interest of full disclosure, if the board would just entertain just a few more minutes so we could just explain what the proposed agreement.
That
Yes.
goes to the state on 9/22, that Friday. It will
Oh,
go to
yes.
EACC
So it's a good
prior.
point. As Ms. Antonellis mentioned, as I forgot, on September 22nd, the Mass Office of Business Development, their committee that has to certify these matters, they have reviewed this, but will be taking a formal vote to certify on 9/22. We don't anticipate there to be any issues with that at all, but so going into town meeting, assuming that the board approves of this, calls a special town meeting, town council has reviewed it, the state has approved it, then ultimately, where it should be, it's up for discussion and approval by the town meeting of Ayer. So with that, Tom, if you could, and I know you can so quickly and eloquently,
I don't know.
for the
We'll see.
benefit of the public, sort of just explain what the agreement exemption is.
Yeah, can you scroll down a little bit,
can't.
Kelly? I think we're losing the top of that.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
sorry.
This, my role on the team was to sort of quantify the impact of any STA that is negotiated. With respect to a special tax agreement, there's a lot of numbers up there, but the number that will be voted on, should you gentlemen approve the agreement and it goes on to town meeting, is that exemption percentage, sort of in the middle. It starts at 90%, 70%, 50%, 40%, and ends at 5% over 10 years. This is a 15-year agreement, but there are only valuation exemptions for 10 years. And what we're talking about is the Keynes properties consist of 2 parcels. And right now, the last committed valuation total was $3,934,000 even. And with a special tax agreement, what happens is a percentage of that is exempted annually. The first year of this agreement, 90% of that valuation is going to be exempted, which means that even though the total taxable value was $3.9 million, they're only going to be taxed based on $393,400. And over time, the exemption shrinks, goes from 90 to 70 to 50 to 40. So it's sort of front-loaded. All of the tax benefit is really, most of the tax benefits in the first 5 years of the agreement. And after that, we get closer and closer to what they would be paying if there were no STA at all. To summarize this as easily as I can for the folks at home, if there was no STA in place and we continue to build the property as we do, the estimated market tax over that 10-year period would be $1,488,000. With the special tax agreement, that number shrinks to $998,600. So over the life of this agreement, should it be approved, the town would be exempting about $500,000 in property taxes over a 10-year period. Now, it's important to be upfront with what's happening here. If you exempt $500,000 in property taxes, it doesn't simply go off of the books. With respect to the property tax administration, if someone's paying less, other people are absorbing what they're not paying. So there are consequences, tax implications, I should say, townwide for if this special tax agreement is approved. People's bills are going to go up higher than they otherwise would for a period of time to subsidize this agreement. But I guess the decision the selectmen have to make and the voters have to make is the temporary increase in taxes worth the overall benefit of bringing a business like this to the community and all of the ancillary benefits that a business like this would bring to the community. Just to give you an idea of what the impact would be, I like Robert's idea about the public forum. I could prepare some slides that would, I think, make it easier to understand. But I looked, when I do estimates, especially something like this, what I usually do is go back to the previous tax year, because we know the taxable value of the town, we know tax rates, we know the levy. And what I ask myself is, if this agreement had been approved for the previous tax year, for tax year 2017, what would have been the impact on tax bills? And you can look at those numbers and sort of get an idea of what will happen going forward. In the case of this particular agreement, if if you look at line 1, the exempted valuation is $3,540,600. If that had come off of the taxable valuation of the town in 2017, and we recalculated the tax rates, both tax rates would have been about 10 cents higher than they were. The FY17 residential tax rate was $14.39. If this agreement had been in effect for the previous year, it would have been $14.49. And the commercial industrial rate was $30.64, and it would have been $30.74 if this had been in effect for the previous tax year. And what it all means, on the average single-family tax bill, it would have been an additional $29. First year, and again, most of the tax impact is in those first 5 years. It would have been $29 for the average residential taxpayer and $26 for the median commercial industrial taxpayer. And then over time, again, that amount decreases. And the chairman of the Board of Assessors asked me to calculate this. I did attempt to estimate what the total impact on the average residential bill over 10 years would be. And this is an estimate because, I don't know what's going to happen this fall, but, based upon what we knew in 17 carrying it forward, it'd be about $122 on the average residential bill for the life of this agreement, and about $90 on the median commercial industrial bill. So when you look at it over 10 years, it doesn't look quite as ominous as you see on that first year.
And this agreement is for 15 years, correct? You've committed to stay at least for 15 years, so we're not dealing with what the state dealt with up at the solar company at Devon, where they took their tip and ran.
Right.
So you're committed to the town no matter what.
Yeah.
After this. So.
And there was a lot of discussion on that, particularly with Alan. And I kept on saying it's not an issue, and it's not an issue. And I actually had to take them to the facility so they understand the amount of effort it's going to take to move this factory. Mm-hmm. We would not be moving this factory today if it was not oversized. I mean, we're taking a substantial business risk. We've mitigated all that risk. We feel comfortable about it, but it's not something we take lightly. We have, very sophisticated manufacturing equipment, and to move this equipment is very difficult. So, though the agreement's a 15-year agreement, I cannot see. There's no scenario in my head where I see us leaving this facility once it's up and running. Hopefully, we're expanding it. The reason why we found this location so attractive is there is enough space in the facility that our business does grow. We can grow. We can grow the facility out to support our manufacturing needs.
Well, that's great, and I think people need to look at it too. Is you need that cornerstone facility sometimes in a major area to piggyback off of where you might get another restaurant or a pharmacy or whatever down there that might, snowball, and we know how that works. So.
And that's what I meant, Mr. Chairman, earlier when I said if this in fact, comes to fruition, that's when our work begins. You're right, everything doesn't remain static now that they're here. It's my job to then go out and start using that as a catalyst to attract others in. So we start immediately, and if we're successful, what we think we're very good at doing, we'll make up that difference in that tech, and we'll actually we'll blow past it. We'll make more.
And it's different too, because obviously our other L3, that's great, but that is only one, it's zoned for. You're not going to be bringing businesses like restaurants and pharmacies down to Westwood Road, but
it's wide open up there.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, as you can see in the agreement negotiated by the town, for lack of a better phrase, there are several clawbacks, if you will. In other words, there are protections in the agreement, and John is correct, we had long discussions about that there are certain benchmarks. If it was to become decertified, which we don't anticipate at all, but you can't foresee every possible scenario, or demolition of the building unless it was going to be for the purposes of further tech expansion. So, but there are percentages that have to be paid back. So we are cognizant of that. But I think in conclusion, over the last 3 months, I learned a lot, as I think the team did, about the future of the electric system and the products that AMSC makes and are going to be making. And to conclude, I think it is a unique opportunity that we need to bring forth to the people of Ayer to consider for the future. In other words, an opportunity for a publicly traded international high-tech company to move both the corporate headquarters, the engineering division, and the manufacturing, if you will, to Ayer in a vacated industrial commercial facility that otherwise would probably be torn down and retrofitted into, as I mentioned earlier, sort of low-end residential or so forth. Additionally, 82 high-tech jobs initially will be brought to the town, which is significant on multiple levels. And their commitment and to the future expansion, and also their commitment to really developing the program with the schools. And as mentioned earlier, we had a lot of discussions, and I want to thank Superintendent Wetzel also for his time on that, about how their company, the town, and Mass DOT, how we can work together to improve that whole rotary and that whole gateway as well.
We've
And there were
discussed that so many
serious
times.
conversations and tours on that as well. So again, ultimately, we're respectfully requesting your approval of the agreement as proposed, and respectfully requesting that the board call a special town meeting for Monday, September 25th at the Ayer Town Hall at 7 p.m. with one warrant article, which will be the town meeting's consideration of this agreement. It does have to be adopted by town meeting, as the board is aware, to come into effect. And American Superconductor is aware of that as well. And as I mentioned, the state will be approving on September 22nd. So again, I want to thank the Board of Selectmen for their confidence in our team to negotiate with them, and also for your consideration on those two items tonight. Sure.
Make a motion to approve the special tax assessment agreement between the Town of Ayer and American Superconductor Corporation as outlined in the agreement in our packet.
Second. All fair?
Aye. Okay, and you need a motion to
Call the meeting.
call a special meeting? Do we have to,
Yes,
do we have to open a warrant, close a warrant, or no?
yeah. As the board is a single item, and you've approved, the agreement is going to be the item. Town council will put it into article form. As the board is aware, the Board of Selectmen have the sole legal authority. A special town meeting can be called either by you with a 14-day notice, or by a citizen's petition. So in this case, we're respectfully, and we really tried to work to make it work for the fall town meeting. We understand it's a fast timeline, but it's needed respectfully. So the motion would be that the Board of Selectmen call a special town meeting for Monday, September 25th, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Ayer Town Hall for the town meeting's consideration of this agreement, and we'll do up the warrants and get those out.
So moved up to agreement.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just one question, do we need a, what's a quorum for a special town meeting of one, is it still the 50?
50.
Okay, so we need
There
to
need
do
to
our
be
work with the,
50 registered.
our reporters,
voters.
well, they're not here.
Yes.
And
so as I mentioned earlier, and Alan and I have talked at this length, and Tom, and American Superconductor, of course, will be involved, and
Sure.
we will now start the public outreach. Because ultimately, it's up to the voters. We want everybody to understand the advantages, what it is, what it isn't, and vet those questions.
No, it's a large investment, but
Yeah.
we appreciate you guys even looking at Ayer and coming to Ayer.
And I think
It's
the
good
whole,
for us.
that's a good point. The whole time it is a huge commitment by American Superconductor, but we know we're also asking for a commitment from every taxpayer in Ayer, and I know American Superconductor knows that. We don't say that lightly, but it's an opportunity that needs to be put forth to the people to decide.
Chairman Hillman, just so you understand, the reason we've requested the accelerated schedule, it's not so much of the 2 weeks or 3 weeks difference between your schedule. We would have missed the state schedule, and it would have pushed us out by months. So I don't want anyone to think that if it was a couple weeks, we could have tolerated that. But to go 3 months, it was just too big of a gap for us. It wouldn't have got us in the building.
Exactly. That it would be January of 18 otherwise, and it wouldn't work.
Pushed everything back, right?
Yeah.
So that was the big bottleneck. It wasn't so much the 3 weeks. I didn't want you to leave there thinking, oh my God.
No, I understand. And we'll do our part to get the outreach out to the community, and I'm sure we'll get 50 people there. People like town meetings, and taxes are always up.
Yeah.
But
Get the word out.
This looks good. You guys did a nice job. Everybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tom, Alan,
Thank you.
everybody involved. Robert.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you.
very much. Nice
See
meeting
you
you.
on the
Meet you.
25th.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tom,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, take care.
Can I take my props?
I don't want to say Joe.
Alan, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. See you in November, Tom.
Scary part is that's like 4 meetings. Hi, Mark.
Hello?
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we're gonna do Nasoya.
Right.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna just, because
Oh,
Mark was at the
Yeah, no,
meeting,
no,
if
that's
there's
fine.
not objection.
Yeah, and I have a little, working history, mostly not so much with the odor, even though it's been peripheral to the wastewater, but I've worked with them for 5 years on their wastewater issues, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the item is, as you mentioned at your last meeting, would be on is the Nasoya odor issue update. And in the issue of full disclosure, so the board is aware, Mr. John Wareham, operation consultant from Nasoya, is in the audience and available to answer any questions that may come. As the board's aware, we met with Nasoya's senior team and representatives from the DEP on August 29th at the facility. I was joined by Superintendent Wetzel and the building commissioner, Mr. Schultz. The DEP, in addition to their the regional rep, Ms. Delmar, also sent her boss out of the central district, out of Worcester, to the meeting as well. The CEO, Mr. Ross Gata, was present, and he made some opening remarks, understanding that there is a serious issue and that his goal is to have a zero tolerance to the odor issue. My opening remarks responded that Nasoya, Nasoya as a valued company to the town of Ayer, does have a problem and does have residential neighbors, and this issue needs to be resolved. I did mention that the night before that meeting on August 28th at approximately 7:40 p.m., the Board of Health was notified of an odor issue the night before. It was concerning that at least the plant folks, Mr. Wareham was not at that meeting, but the other plant folks at least indicated that they were not aware of that issue. And I said, this is part of the problem.
That's the problem.
Right. So I said that the problem has to be resolved. And I turned to the DEP and said, from the Board of Selectmen, the DEP is the state authority on enforcement of these matters, and that we look forward to working together because I'm going to talk just briefly about what they propose as their plan. But if there are not, as we discussed at this last meeting, if there are not statutory timelines and enforcement mechanisms, for everybody involved, including Nasoya, to solve the problem. So the board was given the copy of they did a presentation, meaning Nasoya, the plant manager, Alvin, that was here last time, led that discussion. And the presentation consisted of 3 pieces. One was the measures they've taken to date since April, which was sort of covered when they were here last time. But more importantly is what are the immediate measures they're going to take to resolve this issue. And the timelines, of course, the goal is to have this implemented by the end of the calendar year. But the first thing is that the installation of extra sensors on the scrubbers inlets and outlets, that's in progress. We were explained, they told us that these sensors are on order and the estimated completion date is September 20th. Currently, there are only some sensors on the outlets, but not the inlets. This would be both the intake and outtake on the scrubbers, the sensors. The second thing in the transfer tank is to put a sensor technology in there as well to be completed by September 20th. Again, this is the estimated completion. That unit is on order. Most significantly,
When was it ordered? Last week? I'm sorry, I've heard this, and I'm not trying to
No.
interrupt you,
Yeah.
what did it take for them to order it? You know, our meeting 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, these things are, like I said, on order. We didn't get into that,
Okay.
but there's that piece. And then significantly, the third piece is a third scrubber installation. You can see in the packet, there are currently 2 scrubbers involved with this. This is be the third scrubber installation. It's in progress. They estimate it to be completed by the end of November. Of course, this is subject to DEP permitting as well as any town permitting that may be applicable. If there's town permitting that is applicable involved, we, of course, Mr. Chairman, would do everything as we always do to expedite that piece of it. The third scrubber installation is approximately about a $325,000 piece of equipment.
Doesn't matter.
The last piece, and the gentleman was there, they had a wastewater consultant that Superintendent Wetzel has worked with before, but specifically there at the meeting, they've hired an air quality expert, and this expert, and they're willing to share this information with the town, is going to do an analysis and an evaluation of the plant's stack, because if you've been out to the site, I know you have, and I know Mr. Osmer, if you've been to his property, I'm not an engineer or an expert, but the elevation of that stack with the neighborhood, and there was considerable discussion about, and the building commissioner brought this up when he was out there with Bridget, what about further filtration on that stack, the prevailing wind, and so forth. So they are going to do that analysis and evaluation and see if that is the issue as well. Finally, as the board is aware, the town of Ayer will be sending a follow-up letter to the Department of Environmental Protection on the recommendation of our council to really stress again the importance of a formal framework to make sure all parties that we solve this. The whole matter, per the board, is still under review by our town council in terms of options. And after the last Board of Selectmen meeting, our state legislative delegation has been notified and briefed on the issue to that point. And I did say that at the meeting and also to the DEP as well. I also stressed to the CEO directly that I felt that Nasoya specifically, we need to take more of an effort, in my opinion, this is my opinion, with public outreach and directly communicating and working with the neighborhood as partners. Because frankly, at the meeting I said the town of Ayer has been, the people who are dealing with the brunt of it are the Osmers and everybody in that neighborhood. And it's a quality of life issue, and they don't disagree that there's a problem, but why is it predominantly happening, it seems to, if you look at Bridget's log and so forth, in the evening, and the DEP rep described it sort of as these bursts, if you will.
And what you said is true. The night that I noticed it when I came home, I went over there. I had to drive around the back of the facility. I didn't notice it at all at the facility. I had to drive all the way around the back and kind of sit there. And, faintly, and then by the time I got around to the end of Nemco Way, it was overpowered, which then, of course, goes up the hill and down towards the Groton line. And it really affects, it's kind of amazing that.
And lastly, specifically for you, the last meeting, I said to them, and they're aware, and I appreciate Mr. Wareham being here tonight, that until the matter is resolved, the Board of Selectmen will continue, in a public forum to discuss it and take any questions or complaints from the public. I don't know since the 29th. I'm not aware if there's been any incidents since then. Don't, quote me on that. But I also discussed, I know they have the hotline. I said the hotline is no longer effective because people have called the hotline and now they call directly, town administrator, selectmen, board of health, which that's our job, but.
People are fed up. I mean, you
Right,
can
we
call-
also discussed, that having a website and just more communication. We've had calls in the office from folks that don't know what the odor is and are very concerned about potential health implications and so forth. So I really want them, I respectfully ask them to take a lead on that piece. But additionally, as I understand it, the DEP, the gentleman that was there, obviously took all of this information and copious notes on it. And I understand that they will be meeting with Nasoya regarding the process moving forward. And I've asked them to the extent that they can to keep us informed as well. So,
And Mark, to clarify, I don't know, one of the gentlemen that were here the other night, and I think Dan kind of straightened that out, but that is not for everybody's, your station down there is a pumping station. It's not any treatment facility or anything like that. It's purely pumps.
So the waste from Vitasoy, the Nasoya, and Catania Spagna, and all those industries around there flows down to that pump station, and then we pump it up to Westford Road, and it flows by gravity down to Central Ave.
So, yeah, just to clarify that, I mean, it was someone alluded from Nasoya that it could be partially that.
And we don't typically get odor complaints. On Central Ave pump station, we were getting some odor complaints, and I went out to check them out, and what I found was we had a hole drilled in one of the manholes outside the station, and as soon as I stepped on it, the odor went away. So you imagine a hole this big is causing an odor problem in the area. But we also made some changes in our operation so that the waste doesn't sit there that long. It keeps moving. And also Nasoya with their new treatment project. I mean, you've lived in the neighborhood for a long time. Up until they changed their treatment process 2 years ago, the smell was pretty constant out there.
It was, and this is what I sent a little nastygram to the DEP myself, and since I moved to 2005 to that area, I previously was on Sandy Pond, it's 12 years. I mean, it was awful.
And now it's on a certain operational occasion. I wouldn't say it's every day.
It's definitely better.
It was, I think, in the spring when they were having some issues where they were starting up a new line, and they were running 2 lines, and they were storing their excess waste. I think it was probably...
Was it last summer, though, that it was so bad that we were getting it in Littleton?
Yeah, that was, I want to say, back in the spring.
May, it was May, and then the beginning of August were the major events, but there's still, which is not acceptable. And
they are making operational changes and adding some redundancy to the system.
Does it coincide with the new equipment? I'm sorry, Mark. Did you bring some new equipment in, processing equipment in the last?
Yes, we did.
6 months. You're more than welcome to come up. I'm sorry.
Just so the microphone can get it. Thanks.
How you doing? I'm John Wareham. I'm an operational consultant with Nasoya. I was formerly the vice president of operations for Vitasoy, and I've been working with both Vitasoy to transition to Nasoya and with Nasoya, and probably responsible for a lot of some of those issues dating back to 2005 and stuff like that. But to answer your question, yes, we did bring in new equipment. We brought in the largest tofu line in the world, if you will, into that plant, and had a little bit of a learning curve in doing it.
Shouldn't that have triggered maybe the air scrubber in advance?
Hindsight says yes, but not understanding what that line would do. A lot of it is technology coming from overseas, if you will. So not really having a real good understanding of some of the amounts of calcium sulfites, which is our coagulation, if you will. It's what makes tofu firm or soft or whatever. Didn't quite understand the increases that would be required to meet our customers' requirements. So yeah, we missed that probably, and in hindsight's pretty good on that. So at the end of the day, I think when you look at what's the difference here now, it's we recognize and every point that's been made is legitimate, no question, and we're battling the bursting side of the equation, not the consistent odor, but this burst that's probably more annoying than ever because you think it's away and it comes back. So at the end of the day, we're hoping to ratchet up the large third scrubber as a contingency to not only to the bursting, but also added capacity and all that. And that's kind of like the big leap, if you will, in terms of really putting this behind us.
And with the smell not, as Mr. Schultz pointed out, if it's coming out the stack, and you guys can't pick it up, because I agree with you, it's not always prevalent.
No,
on
and
site.
that's why
And
we're
you're
also...
probably nose blind to some degree, I mean.
To some degree, and we've instituted like round-the-clock checks on this, but also we want to put some objective measurements to it. And that's really gets back to the sensors we were talking about, both in intakes and outtakes, and a lot more of those, a lot more sophisticated, so that we can get number one, we want to know what's going into those scrubbers. Are we drifting out of standard, if you will? But more importantly, having far more objective, sophisticated sensors that say, yes, we do have a very specific problem, and then hoping that sensor will allow us to then react quickly, far more quickly anyways, with ultimately the third scrubber, to have that much more capacity, that much more ability to scrub and clean.
And as I mentioned, the air quality consultant
Yes.
is new on your team, meaning
Yes.
addition. Both Commissioner Schultz and Ms. Braley have emphasized, and they're going to do this, the analysis and evaluation of just that whole issue of the stack.
Well, I think when I went over there that Friday, I sent some pictures out of the stack.
Right, and you sent some pictures
Yeah.
that the stack height, the prevailing wind, other filtration on, I mean, to take that also between the third scrubber and that into
Right.
consideration.
So we're throwing a lot of resources at this. To be quite honest with you, it's Nasoya and our 1 year ownership here recognizes that whole area is probably not designed to the edge, if you will. So now it's kind of like tear it all apart and rebuild it. From procedure to bringing in outside consultants as part of the plan in terms of truly put some objective data to what we're doing and say, instead of just saying it's a burst, it's a this, it's a that, it's a wind, it's a whatever. We're trying to really put some science and very, very, very strong professional consultants on both the what's coming out of there, the type of air, the type of sulfate or the odor inducer, along with our operating procedures in terms of in the entire wastewater treatment, saying, are we doing something that is creating an out of the ordinary event? So we're tearing it all apart, putting it all back together, along with the enhanced SOPs, training, talk about parts. There's no question that, again, in hindsight, we should be all over this, and we recognize that we probably failed in a lot of those areas in terms of being truly, truly proactive at it. So we're reviewed our critical part lists, we reviewed all the PM programs and everything that we're doing, and trying to build layers of protection, if you will, that ultimately what we're hoping will end at the third scrubber. Very significant installation here, done 300,000 or so we're going to throw at just the scrubber alone, not counting everything else. Build those layers of protection so that we truly become zero tolerance, as our CEO, who is adamant that is the...
That's good to hear. I mean,
that he is absolutely
my
adamant.
concern was the change in ownership. Was it put on the back burner? Because I know 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago?
It was before Mr. Regalian, who was the CEO.
Yes.
And
Yes,
was very responsive.
Yeah.
I must say, Mr. Gatta, who's the new CEO, was very sincere in his remarks, and he kept stressing his standard of zero tolerance. And I kept saying, I appreciate that ideal because we're not there, and stressing that we've got to get this resolved sooner rather than later.
In
And I
their
think
defense, as I said, the night, Friday I went over there,
Yeah.
there was people all over the place. I think it was a service guy I met, and then he was on the phone with his boss saying he couldn't smell it, and then he was going over to Westwood Road, and then he came
Right.
back and said
This,
it's awful over there.
trust me, this is, I know you've heard a lot of excuses, and I'm not going to belabor all of that, but I can speak for Ross Gatto, who is our CEO, who is adamant that this is going to be invisible, because we, again, at the end of the day, we want to be, a good neighbor, a good partner. We want to be invisible in our presence here, so that we can focus on what we do well, and that is to expand our tofu market, and to spend, and we're willing to do whatever it takes, finally, once and for all, to do that. And that's personally from Mr. Gatto, from our chairman, Mr. Lee, in Seoul, Korea, all the way through. This is the Pulmuwan is the #1 tofu company in the world.
Well, they realize that this isn't going away.
Pardon me?
They realize this
Absolutely
isn't
not.
going
And I think, and there's no defense for it. However, if you're new coming into it, and the challenges of understanding a business and understanding a North American market and understanding everything, we did have our due diligence, and we were pretty open in the due diligence phase, saying that we have had issues in the past and everything like that. But when we dig into it, we changed our line, we brought in new, and our process changed with that. We were very slow in the reaction of like, geez, we do have a problem here with this, with our new line and how we're processing. And it's taken us a little while to understand, geez, we got to really ratchet it up. And that's really where, at the end of the day, when you really peel it all away, what's going to change, and that is going to be a added capacity that hopefully is there in that isolated burst that we may create for whatever reason, and will provide us ample capacity in layers of production to be able to treat that as seamlessly, if you will.
And I think, I don't want to speak for the neighbors a bit worse, I mean, the occasional hiccup every 6 months, a year, stuff happens,
Yep.
but.
No, even,
you come home from work and wonder if you.
No, and, it's
I
like
think,
anything.
Don, I spoke to you in California.
No.
It was horrible that day.
They could smell it in California.
Probably.
Well,
That's enough.
that was on August, as I understand, on August 28th.
The last time,
Mr. Osmer, you were in California.
yeah.
His wife was not.
I was just going to say, you reported it to the Board of Health around that same sort of evening time and so forth. And at that meeting, I know you weren't there, it was
Yes, no.
nobody there seemed to know about that issue.
Yeah, which is why we're having a monster patrol of a number of hours throughout the whole
Right.
24/7 operation here, is that we have people literally driving into Mulberry Circle, in terms of trying to pick this up, to show that, that we're, that this is serious to us, from our plant managers all the way through.
Afternoon, evening, it almost seems.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure there's some atmospheric and there's probably some operational issues.
Well, it's funny, because I'm, again, my job is basically ask questions as well, and I kind of get back to the same thing as I go. Invariably, it seems like it's a late evening, early morning situation.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Is that something that we're doing in our sanitation process, or is that a, I've even questioned, is that a third shift operator, or whatever,
In the
it's-
wintertime, it was
Yeah.
consistently 6 to 8 o'clock every
Yes,
night.
yeah.
You'd get it coming through, and I just.
Yes, and it was the
Let
DEP
Bridget
that
know.
used the phrase at the meeting, but it's sort of somewhat accurate. It now is like these bursts. In other words, I've gotten complaints, it takes 7 minutes from my office to the plant, assuming no traffic.
Yes.
Following the speed signs. There's some instances you go out there and it would be there, and sometimes from the time of the complaint, it would already have dissipated or so forth, so.
So we're just hoping that we recognize that, and we realize everything that's been said in these meetings over the years is legitimate. We're not hiding from that. It's just that we probably we have no excuses now. We're a brand new company. We're in Nasoya. We have the commitment of the entire international organization, and they have sent in their version of environmental experts from our corporate headquarters in Seoul, Korea. They have been on site.
One of them was at the meeting.
Yes, I believe you met him. And again, it all gets down to personal. And I'm here representing Mr. Ross Goddard, our CEO of North America, who says this will go away. And has told that to our board of directors, Mr. Lee in Korea himself. So we have every resource of the #1 tofu company in the world now driving this out.
We could just say, it's awesome, that's an
And we're going to drive it out because, again, at the end of the day, what we want to do is be able to treat to you invisibly, to be a good neighbor to Mr. Osmer and everyone up on that Mulberry
Circle.
Circle.
It's isolated. I think, and Gary, I don't know if you've ever smelled it, but I mean, if this was downtown or pick an area, it would be the end of the world. I
Yes,
mean,
that's
you
true.
actually
That's
have
true.
to experience it in that isolated. It would be a much bigger issue than and been addressed a long time ago, probably.
In my opening remarks, Mr. Chairman, to the whole group and to Mr. Gata after he spoke, I said, we have a unique challenge as well. It's not an excuse, a unique challenge in that in Ayer, being the size that it is, on one side, as you know better than anybody, on one side of Westford Road is an industrial park, and on the other side of Westford Road, just separated by a street, are residents in the neighborhood. And in many instances, they talk about at the meeting, these places, we don't have this luxury, are zoned or located, in separated industrial parks. That being said, and Mr. Gata agrees, on one hand, we want Nasoya to succeed. It's one of our largest taxpayers. It's the largest water, wastewater user. One of our employs over almost 200 people on one hand. And then on the other hand, in addition to the Osmers and all of the families that have their families in their homes and their property up on Mulberry Circle and those neighborhoods and their taxpayers and their value, their quality of life is being impinged. So we agree that there is still a problem.
No question.
That it has to be solved. And at least in terms of the next steps, Nasoya is going to move forward with what I outlined. I think the completion deadline, let's say, is December. The challenge is it's subject to DEP permitting and the installation of the scrubber.
The DEP's got to
so that's the second piece. So
the ball here. I mean,
right.
This
Yes.
we've offered suggestions.
Well,
for everybody's.
I would say from my experience of almost 40 years working with the DEP is you're not going to get any technical help out of them. You're going to get some regulatory enforcement help. But I think that Nasoya has the technical expertise on staff or hired now. You've got some people with air pollution expertise, air modeling expertise. And those are the ones who are really going to solve the problem. And one thing I know Robert talked about, the hotline. The hotline is important for two reasons. One is so that they know there's a problem and they can deal with it, but also they know there's a problem so they can see what happened in the plant.
Oh, I agree.
When we got that call, did we change a cleaning agent or did something overflow into the drain?
Yes, and we're trying to put objective data to that because again, everybody has a story or everybody has a myth or everyone says nothing's changed. And what we're hoping to sense here is that we're going to attack this with science, with some very smart consultants. We're going to also attack it with some very objective, sophisticated.
This is why it happened and why.
And trying to really put a link to all of this. That's why it was important to us to get the sensors to read going in. A lot of times you just read going out. So, okay, that's after the fact, if you will. We know, so we're evacuating air. Okay, we got a problem, but we really don't really. So that's why we're going to be sensing it going in as well to say we can really pinpoint, isolate it by time or operator or cleaning process or something along those lines as well. Along with the fact that we want to get this third scrubber so that we don't want to be just good 350 days out of 365 or something like that. We're going to drive this to zero. And again, I'm just here to say that I'm sure you've heard that before over the years. You probably heard from me 10 years ago, probably.
Honestly, we did hear from you 2 years ago, and there was a huge improvement. I think we can all agree it got better for a short period of time. And so I don't think that you guys are trying to skirt around the issue. I just how horrible it is for the people that
and we realize that, and again, we don't want to minimize it by any means, because again, we want to be invisible and we want to do what we do well, and that is sell world-class tofu and have our energies on that ball. And we want to put this behind us quickly so that we are absolutely an invisible good neighbor to you, everyone. That's kind of like our objective.
John?
Well, first and foremost, thank you to the board for continued focus on this issue. It's beyond me why this keeps happening. After a meeting like we had last month, and then all of a sudden it started happening again. I was away, but
It happened previous to that too. I think there was 3
it
occasions
happened
since last
previous to
night.
that as well.
Yes.
As far as the hotline is concerned, the hotline was set up for us to, as residents, to call in and say, hey, there's an odor happening. We were also instructed that somebody needed to verify the odor because they didn't believe it was happening, right? So here I am calling the company to say, hey, you're causing an odor, but somebody's supposed to also verify it. So by the time that person got there, the odor didn't exist. And the other attitude that I took, because I get upset about this, is why am I calling you to tell you that you're breaking the law? And I know we have an odor consent or an odor law policy, something on file, or the state must have something, right?
Yes. That was my frustration with the DEP.
And nothing gets done about it. So I said this in the last meeting that we had last month. Until something is done that makes it hurt for the company, it isn't going to change. You could throw $325,000 at it. Hell, you could buy my house for another $25,000 more. Go ahead and do that. I'll move. That way you won't have to listen to me every month.
The problem is you got to buy
I'm not
75 more houses in order to alleviate
you
that.
could buy all the houses on Westford Road and get rid of us all, and then we can move out. But and there is some truth to that, by the way. This we keep hearing it. We're putting in a third scrubber. We're doing this, and as you say, John, hey, you're doing all these things and you're throwing all this money at it. But this is like an abusive relationship, folks. It really is. I'm sorry I did that to you. I'm not going to do it again. I'm sorry I'm doing this. I'm not going to do it again. And you do it again. And you keep doing it. And we're the ones who are the ones being abused. So if the state isn't going to do something about it, other than write a piece of paper saying, an order of consent, don't do that again, or slap a small fine on, which is public notice that they've done that in the past, then what is the town going to do?
I don't want to speak for Gary, but I think we're on the same page on this. The town is more than willing to pursue this once,
As far as we have to.
as far as we have to. And I've spoken to 2 members of the delegation who are very much, there to help if it gets to that point. And usually when we ask for their help, they are very responsive and helpful. So, I would encourage you to speak to them as well. They're very approachable.
I know of people who've worked there in the past. And the last thing I would want is for people to lose their jobs and a company to close and a profitable business to leave the area. But I live there, and John, I've mentioned this before, this is my home.
Oh, absolutely.
And you get it, I know, and I've seen you many times, but just throwing money and resources at it time after time after time and it not working gets really frustrating. That you're hoping this works this time, and it doesn't. And it has been reduced. It has come down quite a bit, but when you get an evening and you're sitting there at home and the windows are open, and we're coming in to that time of year when it's 50 degrees out at night, you like to have your windows open.
Yes.
There are nights we can't. So what is going to happen if this continues to go on is the big question. And until it hurts, nothing is going to change.
And not to sound like our president, but I don't like to lay out everything we have that we can do down the road.
Right.
But I know Robert's spoken to town council. I spoke to Mark Rich briefly about it. Just look into options, because I know we had talked about it, and we don't want to pursue that, obviously, for your sake, but we are committed to doing that. And I think your company is aware of that after the last meeting.
We're aware of it, and it's legitimate, and we welcome that in the sense that, like we move our business, we get better through. There has to be learning and pain in our business as we go forward, whether we're gaining share or losing share. So we understand the sensitivity to it. We understand that this is a years and years old buildup of frustration, and we recognize that. So we know there's consequences if we do not say what we're finally going to do, and that's why we're trying to get a sense in this plan, is that we're throwing what we think are better resources, more focused resources at the problem than we maybe have done in the past. Maybe our efforts in the past were, well-intentioned, but maybe not very good, or thought of to be in the wrong direction. I know we upgraded, say, the treatment side of it, thinking that the treatment side was the odor inducer. And now we're seeing that treatment is well under control after that investment, but the odor is shifted to another area of us, and so there's no question that we have struggled with getting the right focus and the right resource and the right expertise into this, and I think our plan outlines the fact that maybe we recognize some of the failings of that over the years and really going to aggressively attack it.
Mark, how do you feel this a good way to go at it?
Well, I'm an engineer, so I kind of look at it from that perspective. I don't live over there. I'm rarely on that side of town, so I don't notice all the smell. From my dealings with them primarily on the wastewater, and one thing I should point out is I don't hear any of the odor complaints. My guys might be over at the water treatment plant and say, "Wow, it really smells today," but I'm not getting that feedback on a regular basis, so I'm not making any correlations between the wastewater quality that we're receiving and the other operational issues that may be. But what I've found since I've been working with them for 5 years is they've been very responsive with their wastewater pre-treatment, and we have very few problems. As a matter of fact, when we do have a problem and we go down, we say, it must be something at one of the industries. It's not usually them. It's one of the other industries. And they do change, they have cleaning periods and things like that, because we have a lot of food related industries that do have certain requirements they have to meet. So that does upset our quality a little bit, but they're very responsive. As soon as we have any kind of an issue at our treatment plant, and we call, their operator responds and lets us know what they're doing, and we take samples, and they have data. So I think from my dealing with the people that are there now, that they're taking this seriously, and there may be a hiccup now and then, but the more data they collect, the more they can make changes, and the more they can address those issues. But I think with the third scrubber will really kind of add that redundancy that should solve a lot of the.
Do we have a timeline on that?
Well, we're pushing for the end of the year, and that's again predicated on some of these permitting issues. So whatever leverage that you can do to push it through both the DEP. There very well might be some air zoning. I'm not sure, related to stack heights and stuff like that.
I don't foresee that being an issue with the town part of it.
Yeah, in the lobby at the end, the town side is the easy part. We can expedite our piece. But I stressed it, whatever that may be, if anything.
Well, if it's variance for height, like Charlie.
I think there is a variance.
I'm not sure of height.
It's still a process,
Yeah,
but
2 week notice.
Yeah, but we can. I know in the past when we put our dryer in, we worked very well with the town. We went quickly through all
But
that.
my biggest concern, as I stressed to the DEP in the lobby, which I don't have control over, nor do we, is the DEP permitting end. And I said on the town, if that, whatever can be done to expedite that, because I think in addition to the scrubber, and I know that the building commissioner and the health agent were, the analysis and evaluation of the stack, they seem to think is part of the solution. In other words, the height of the stack, filters on the stack. In other words, that piece I know is going to be looked at, and at the meeting.
It sits down low.
Yeah.
It sits lower than, like, behind Ayer oil, so it's kind of down in that valley there, which is much lower than the residents up.
That's a key component of trying to, again, to demythicize a lot of what is going on here and really throw some sophisticated resources at really truly analyzing what's going on there.
But I said to the DP at the meeting, I said, I appreciate Nasoya's investment in the approach on both the stack and the scrubber. I says, but my biggest concern is, and this was on the 29th, when there's another odor episode, or when that happens and so forth, if it continues to happen, I didn't get a response, but I said, what is the town of, what do we do about that?
I got some response.
I know
today.
you do.
No, but it was, this is what we've done, this
I
is
know,
what
right.
we're constantly working on this. It was just the typical, unfortunately, I think we relied on the DEP thinking that they were gonna address this situation.
To be honest with you, they kind of got to, be candid with you. They were involved heavily in the, say the treatment side of it. The odor.
The odor was just,
kind
it
of.
seems to be, I mean, I've seen some of the
Whereas in defense of the Board of Health, Bridget and her team, they were very much on top of it.
No, and I've spoken to Bridget at
Yes,
9
and she's
o'clock at night,
actually-
and she's like, I'm gonna drive out there, and
Yes,
I said, I
yes.
can verify that it stinks.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
there's no
yes.
need for you to
Oh,
drive
no,
from
and
your home.
I'd have to say, I've gone to, I've known Bridget over the years, and no question that they have been on top of, very vocal, and actually, we in the past anyways, should have done a better job in getting her in the loop rather than her reacting to a call rather
And
than
that's what it is.
us.
And I mean, the last thing that
Yes.
Dawn wants to do, or any neighbor
Yes.
in Loverly, is come
Yes.
home and go,
Yeah,
oh, it smells,
no,
I want to
no.
call, or, I think I might smell it, so I'm going to
Yeah,
call.
yes.
It's usually catastrophe level by the time the phone call's made
Yeah.
in that area.
No, but, no, we have around the, we have a number of people that are driving through neighborhoods. I think one of our plant managers was stopped by one of the air policemen one day to ask them what they were doing up there, but.
No, and I witnessed it. I can
Yes.
attest
So we're
to
trying to
that.
get
I saw it.
everybody real, and people that are not really close to it. We wanted to get, fresh senses, if you will, and trying to see, to this. And
One of the things from the DEP's perspective is that the wastewater is easy to quantify.
True.
You've got a waste stream, you measure it, and you go.
Yeah, you got
they're over
BOD,
the
you
limit.
don't,
The metrics.
The air, like
you got
you
very
said,
nice metrics, yes.
you're standing here and it doesn't smell. You drive over here and it doesn't smell. You drive up there and you get knocked over.
Well, that's why we're
So
trying to
it's-
put, these particular type of
Sensors,
sensors
yeah.
that'll be able to put a
So
measurement to it.
It's hard to quantify
Yeah.
what the violation is and if there is a violation because you don't.
I sent an email out one that Friday, because it was horrible. And then I came up from work, and I couldn't smell it in my house, but I smelled it, and I went over there, and I think I sent an email to Robert saying, if I didn't know where it was coming from, I would swear that it was a mysterious odor, because it did not smell that bad at the plant.
And I won't say that it wouldn't be one of our pumping stations either. We have sewage pumping stations, and we could get a bad load in one of those. We've got two up on Mulberry, we've got two over in Pondview, and we've got the one down back in the Soya. So I'm not going to say that we don't have odors coming out of those. We haven't gotten complaints, and they're in neighborhoods, but occasionally that could be an issue.
Sure. All right, well, I guess we'll,
Sorry.
All I can say is that we're going to do what we're saying we're going to do, and again, and from
I know we've heard
every,
that before.
yes, I realize it, and I know it's cheap, and I know the only way to reestablish credibility is by doing it, and the fact that we have no credibility here hurts, but rightfully so, though. And
We're going to bring this up every.
yes, oh, absolutely, and if you'd like a representative from the soy to be at every one of these meetings, if this is going to be truly an agenda, and we'll definitely do that as well. So. Because we want to be able to stay and look at you and look at Mr. Osmer and his family and be able to say, yes, we have disappointed you or not.
Dawn has been kind of the face of it.
Yes,
but, I mean,
there's a number of, there's a whole,
Soccer was
absolutely, I
started Saturday,
understand,
trust me,
I
I've heard
understand.
from
Yes,
15 different
yes.
people up there that, for whatever reason can't make a meeting, but
No,
understand.
no,
that it's-
and to be quite honest, I mean, when we do have these odor, events, we've had some screaming fits in our plant, in our offices, saying, what are we doing? So it's, all we can do is reestablish credibility with everybody by action.
So, Mr. Chairman, your next meeting, scheduled meeting is September 19th. In managing expectations or benchmarks for that meeting, I would propose, obviously, one is there's going to be a follow-up letter, a specific letter from the town to the DEP based on August 29th
Can
letter.
we copy the delegation on that, CC them as well?
Yeah, it's a public letter about the framework. The second thing I think that would be helpful, I mean, it needs a tentative deadline from them, but according to...
Yeah, we have a couple, September 20th.
September 20th is an update on the status of at least the ordering of these sensors would be helpful. I mean, I know it's the day before
No
the 20th, but additionally, as I mentioned, our council, for the board, is reviewing the whole matter. They have other matters, so we have an update there. And I know that the building commissioner was going to talk in more detail with your air quality expert about the issues of the stack. I think Bridget was as well.
Yes.
And I think it would be helpful, and we can discuss also, I think, my opinion, lay opinion, I'm concerned about the DEP permitting side of the scrubber in terms of the time horizon.
Well, that was my point about the delegation.
I'm not worried.
Yeah, but I don't
But
know
they
if
said it's
have it.
weather specific though, too.
I don't know if.
Well,
it's-
I mean, we have to,
Big deal.
to be quite honest with you, we have to ramp it through there because, again, the ordering process, are we okay? Depending on where the weather is, can we pour a pad, concrete, so some, so we're
On the
under the
treatment
gun too.
process,
So-
with the treatment,
Shouldn't have any effect.
it was, I don't even know if they even reviewed anything. It went pretty quick.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't done
pretty
air
quick for them,
permit.
though, 6
Well, I don't know, I
weeks.
haven't done air permitting. Well, a lot of times too is
You can get a
you
consent.
submit the permit and then you make a phone call and say, can we sit down and go through it? So that it just doesn't sit in the pile
Yeah.
and you can move it along.
Well, and I guess that was my point with the delegation, because I know they will obviously represent citizens if they understand
Yes,
what they're dealing with, and
that they can expedite.
I had spoken to one of them. They had experienced it and didn't know quite what it was when they drove through that area not that long ago. So they were aware of what it was now. So
that'd be September 19th?
Yep.
And
And I'll be
let's hope we
in
don't have
touch.
any odor complaints
Yeah.
between now and then.
Right.
Am I correct in the last odor complaints, the 28th of August?
To my knowledge, don't quote me on that.
It was a week ago.
The last documented that I'm aware of was on August 28th.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And there was every once in a while you get a faint smell or something, but like that, if you get a...
8 days ago.
Days ago.
Try to make it now.
Oh, no, I know
We're
that.
not excited here, we're not feeling.
I'm not asking you
proud.
these, no, I'm not saying it's a trend, I just wanted to have a base, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
And I would say there's probably 3 or 4 since our last meeting, which was 3 weeks ago.
You're right, right, and based upon some of the stuff that's going on, this sense that as well. Okay, all right.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in, and
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
sorry to keep you guys here so late. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Posted. Thank you. Have a good evening. Hey, Mark.
Hello. Before I started, I wanted to bring up just something. I don't know if you realized we had the Youth Works program this summer, and we finished a week ago. We had a total of 8 kids for 8 weeks. We did 4 for 4 weeks and 4 for the next week. Air Shirley kids. A couple were from Neshoba Tech, and the others went to the high school. We had them doing a lot of different things at the DPW. They spent a little time at the fire station doing some cleaning in the building there. They did some stuff with the rec department, painting parking lines and benches in the baseball fields and things. But for the most part, they did a lot of stuff. They painted all of the concrete structures down at the wastewater plant. They did a lot of hydrant painting. If you notice around town, the hydrants are a nice bright red.
Here at
Yeah,
the bus station.
Transfer station. They did.
Yeah, they did stuff up there. They did crack sealing on some of the roads. There was a nice article in the Neshoba Valley Voice about them. I think the kids really enjoyed it. I think they got a lot out of it. It was the first job for most of them, and we got a lot of positive feedback from them. As you may know, this was sponsored by the Central Ave Compassionate Care, and so I went over the program with him and told him how successful it was, and he's excited about continuing the program.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's great. I mean, is it something that you think you might get kids that end up coming back, or would you?
We talked with the kids about that, and we'd like to get some back. So they have some experience. They can be so-called group leaders.
And there's some that have better work ethic than others.
We learned a lot. I had a supervisor from who works at Acton Boxborough Regional School District, who was very good with the kids.
Great.
And we talked about it afterwards. Some things will change for next year. Just probably being a little more organized on the work days, what we're going to do when, especially rain days. We had in the first session, we had a lot of rain days, so they're already going to go paint hydrants, and instead they're, vacuuming trucks in the garage.
Sure.
So things like that. But like I said, it was a very successful program. I think it really,
it's great.
It really was.
No, I appreciate John Hillier.
I saw John on Friday, and he's excited and committed to a second year. And I also, if I may, I do want to really thank Superintendent Wetzel for getting this program off the ground. He put a lot of effort into all of the nuts and bolts and the details and the schedule and things you don't think of to make the program successful. It was a lot of work.
It's a big learning curve.
I was going to say, now you know what to tweak and what works and what doesn't.
But excellent job.
I mean, overall, to get that amount of work done, just kind of just starting to.
We didn't get any. I didn't have them doing a litter pickup.
That and we'll get to that.
I sent my guys out to the Rotary one day last week.
Yeah, you did.
Good.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have 5 agenda items. The first one is the lease for the Air Solar East landfill, which is the landfill for the solar with Citizens Energy. I know this was on the agenda last time, and there were some questions, and since I couldn't make the meeting, we didn't have the answers. So basically what we did was we went out for proposals to solar developers to develop solar both at the landfill on Groton Harvard Road and the old sludge landfill by the wastewater treatment plant. We got 3 proposals. We ranked them all. We looked at and we had 2 separate ones. We had technical and price.
Yeah.
Ranked them based on the technical proposal and ranked them then based on the price. We selected Citizens Enterprises, which is a spin-off of Joe Kennedy's enterprise, Citizens oil company, and they have a lot of experience doing solar development on landfills in Massachusetts, which was one of the key points with them. You could tell from their proposal that they knew how to do it. You could tell there was one of the other developers didn't know how to do it, and it was a little scary reading their proposal, even though they had the highest price, but it wasn't a realistic number. So we've gone through the process with town council and developed the landfill leases. It was approved at town meeting to enter into a lease for the land. There was a question, I guess, at the last meeting about the taxes. Generally with solar farms or any types of development like that, the taxes are based on the personal property on the site. And so I know, is Tom still here?
Right, yeah. Come on.
So Tom worked with Citizens to come up with what's called a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes. And
working in the night, Tom.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Back in a few years.
You can sleep on Robert's couch tonight.
No way. I'll be back. 8 o'clock sharp.
So do you want to explain what the pilot is?
Sure. It's not that complicated. If there's no pilot in place, the Board of Assessors' approach to market value on these arrays is a cost new less depreciation approach. So developer supplies the costs of the inverters and the panels and the electrical and all that. And the assessors will apply a 20-year economic life to it, so we'll depreciate it 5% a year until we reach 30% of original cost. Then we'll flatline it at 30% of the original cost for as long as the array is in service. And what I basically did, I worked with Emily Mann from Citizens Energy. She's very helpful. She gave me all the costs. I came up with tax projections over the life of the lease of what they would pay in property taxes if this was under the auspices of the Board of Assessors. We billed it like a personal property bill. And essentially, all they do is we determine the total tax over the life of the agreement, and they divide it by the 20 years of the agreement, and they come up with a level annual payment. That totals what we would anticipate in property tax. It's just structured different. We would get more money up front if it were on the tax rolls. They'll be paying more money than we would be committing later on in the schedule. So we just basically came up with a,
Basically comes out the same.
total taxes over 20 years of $137,000 over 20 years, which comes out to $68.43 annually. So they're going to pay that outside of the tax bill commitment process. And what that does is that gives them tax certainty. I guess it's important in that industry that they know exactly what their obligation is for property taxes annually. So the town doesn't lose a dime through a pilot agreement. It's
And
just
that's on top of the lease?
Yep.
Right, so then they pay us, it's a flat, their fee proposal is $30,000 per kilowatt.
Yeah.
See if I get it right, AC, no, DC.
DC.
And so, but then when they convert that, no, it's AC, when they convert the DC to AC, there's a loss there. So it's around 25 to 26,000 is what the 30,000 for DC converts to AC.
No, I think that was our questions. And
Yeah.
Mr. Mr. Dizek had said some new regulations were coming out at the last meeting.
Yeah. That was your main
Yeah.
question, I think, has been answered, that in addition to the lease agreement, is the pilot amount.
Mm-hmm. And I was happy to see you included, they are responsible for removing panels once a lease, because I've seen other communities do this and they didn't include that. And
Right, well, one of the things is that it's the since they're on a landfill, the state sets a bond amount for decommissioning, because they don't want something left on a closed landfill. So, and it's a pretty steep amount, because when we first started negotiating it, the number was a lot lower than when I talked to the state and plugged their number in. So
this maximizes what we would have gotten anyway.
right. It's revenue neutral, I guess I would categorize it. Yeah, exactly.
It just seems low. I mean, how much do they make on that energy? It is what it is, I understand that.
What do you-
that was I see what you're saying. That was my initial question when I first saw 26,000 and they make it. But
I know.
well, they're investing a lot of money in
Yeah.
it too. So when you think about it, if we did it ourselves, then we'd have to come up with the engineering and the investment to install it, and then the operation and maintenance.
more expensive to install in landfill
It's
too?
basically oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's basically about $32,000 that we're not making today. And actually, Andrew was saying he has to go up and mow that this weekend. So in the future, we'll have to do that. So
Is it beneficial for the town to do anything like this in the future for the town's sake? I know the school has talked about buying in, and like I said, when I worked in Chelmsford, they create so much of their own power.
well,
They sell it to other communities.
we have bought at a pretty good rate. We've bought into a solar
Well, the net
farm, so
metering,
we
yeah.
buy net metering credits. We've done a lot of energy improvements, so we're probably pretty close to how much we're buying. And when we get the streetlights all converted, we'll be in even better shape. So I don't see any benefit for us to be buying from them, and that wasn't part of that. If we'd done that, then we'd have a different type of agreement.
Tom, is this depreciated differently than machinery at L3?
Well, L3, the machinery is exempt because it's under a TIF agreement.
Oh,
But yeah,
right.
personal property is complicated. Depending on what it is, you get different depreciation schedules. But this particular project, you have to remember that the land is going to remain exempt. So they're just paying property taxes
On the equipment.
on the equipment, and the total cost of the equipment, not to install it, just catalog, cost with, or cost manual cost, is less than $500,000. So it's not a huge
Okay.
money array, which is why you would expect the taxes to be higher over
Right,
25.
okay.
but-
That makes sense.
And does it change, technology changes, which we know with solar it does, I mean, does that trigger anything if they come back in 5 years and change panels out? I mean, it's their lease, right? So they can do what they want. It's just based on if they generate more power, we.
Yeah, if they change
Yeah.
something, if they change something, they have to notify
Mhm.
us. But it doesn't necessarily
Okay.
change anything in the agreement.
And then wastewater treatment plant is off the table because of what was it? Was it?
There's some environmental, it's a endangered species
Damn
habitat.
turtle.
I'll tell you, the more we're getting into this, the more. On the East Main Street job, we moved the scope of the work 20 feet to stay out of the endangered species habitat.
This is like number one on the radar. I mean, like the national heritage. I'm telling you, I've seen.
And
lots of
they're
green
not,
I mean,
as
the
far
DEP
as cooperative state agencies, they're not very
No,
cooperative.
this is national heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they.
I mean, Dan set up a meeting, and this on the road with the water main going across from Sandy Pond to Wright Road. We submitted to the Conservation Commission in January, and we didn't get our permit until late August. And we were directional drilling through there, so we're not disturbing any of the habitat. We had to pay an extra. We paid an extra $3,500 for a turtle management plan.
Right road, you had to have fences, and the gates had to be closed for certain hours.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Oh, we have
and
to
commute back and forth.
put a little protective fence around the drilling pit so the turtles don't fall in. So we're learning quickly that can be a deal breaker, and in this case, they started doing the evaluation and just determined that it was going to be too costly for them to try to permit it.
All right.
It doesn't mean we can't do it sometime in the future when all
Yeah.
those moths and turtles get off the list. But.
Okay.
So this is, I have 3 copies for signature by the board.
Does that have to be notarized?
Let's see.
No.
No.
No, Tom, go
Tom,
home.
go home.
Yeah,
Get
get
some
home,
sleep.
please. I'm sorry.
Do you need anything else from me?
Thank you.
I will go home.
Thank you. Come in late tomorrow.
I'll be here at 8.
Nice to see you, Tom.
Thank you, John.
Just sign it.
Drive safe.
Can I make a motion for us?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Raffle.
Landfill lease agreement. Make a motion to approve the landfill lease agreement between the town of Ayer and Eastside Solar LLC,
Yes.
as outlined in the agreement.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the next item on the agenda is the water main project we were just talking about, Sandy Pond Road to Wright Road cross-country water main. We finally got all the permits and put that out to bid. We received 6 bids ranging from $157,250 to $263,850. And we had appropriated $275,000 for the project, so we had pretty good bids. The low bidder was Jay D'Amico, who I know that Selectman Hillman has intimate knowledge of their qualifications. No, they're the ones doing the work for the town of Groton up on Westford Road. And, I will say that they are very slow, but they do a very good job. Whenever I go up and watch them, I'm like, no wonder they're slow, because they are meticulous about how they excavate and backfill and things. On this job, probably 80% of the job is a subcontractor.
Henniker.
Similar to what they did with the drilling of the sewer
Yeah.
up through Groton, same thing, you just.
Yeah, so they, and actually the drilling contractor here I've worked with in the past, and he's probably one of the best around here. They do a lot of work in Acton and Chelmsford, and so I have a contract with Jay D'Amico for $157,250.20 for the Wright Road, the Sandy Pond Road to Wright Road cross-country water main, and that is for signature by the chair.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
How long does this take?
That's a good question.
Not based on the Westford Road project, please.
I think once they're mobilized, it'll probably, I would guess it's probably 6 weeks to 2 months.
Is this going to happen? Like, I mean, I get this question a lot now. Of course, again, the soccer back people are down there.
Yeah.
Want to know, and they all know it's not the town's fault that this has been held up and all that.
Right. But what we'll do is we're scheduling a pre-bid for the next week. I mean, pre-construction for next week, and we'll get what their schedule is. But I would guess it's a pretty straightforward job for them, and so it'll definitely be done this fall.
So yeah, they're going to hop from that right over to. And back to Westford Road. If you inspect the quality of the work, I'd rather have a contractor go slow and do it correct than.
I have no issues with the quality of their work.
A lot of that up there has been the management of details and traffic flow has been more of the issue than anything. But okay, good.
Aye.
Oh yeah, aye. Oh. Thank you for reminding me of that.
The third item is a request for a sewer abatement for the Casa Manor Motel. Actually, we notified him. We thought they had a leak. He went out and checked, and he did have a leak. And it was like between two buildings. So he requested an abatement on the sewer portion of the bill, not the water portion. And so Pam and I looked through his past billing and came up with a reasonable amount of sewer based on his I think we did a couple of years of billings on the sewer. And based on that, we recommended an abatement of $4,354.78 for just the sewer use portion of the leak.
Pretty good leak.
It's a pretty good leak, yeah.
So to his credit, I mean, he's accepting the water. So the sewer obviously is based on what goes back in, right? So if it's leaking, it's not going back in. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the water abatement as outlined by DPW superintendent for the amount of $4,354.78.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item, this was an oversight on my part, that we have a paving contract with PJ Albert. We went out to bid last year, and it is a 1-year contract with 2 1-year extensions instead of a 3-year contract. So when I went to pay him this year, I realized that we needed to do an amendment to the contract. So I have a 1-year amendment for the paving contract. This is our Chapter 90 paving, and this is for signature by the chair.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve amendment number 1, road paving construction agreement between the town of Ayer and PJ Albert for an extension of 1 year. Signature by the chair.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are we done this year, Mark? Are we done with the 90 line?
Yeah, we did New England Way, and we in Washington Street. Well, Washington Street they're paving Thursday and Friday, but that was Washington Street was pretty expensive.
Okay.
Looks good.
Yeah, it'll come out good when they're all done.
And that's in phases, I saw.
Yeah, so the next phase will be, we'll see how much money we have, how far down the hill we can get.
I'd love to give you some free cash to augment what you...
Well, you know, that was a question I had. No, seriously, like, I mean, the Chapter 90 money
Yeah.
is what it is, but I mean, there's so many roads to be paid.
Right, and so
How do we, like we did with the water lines?
we were talking about this the other day with Selectmen Luca. We just finished updating our pavement management plan, and so I'll look at that and see if we want to look to raise and appropriate or pay out of free cash some additional money. It was interesting, this email group that I'm a member of, Bay State Roads, one of the other DPW directors put out a questionnaire of how much do you augment your Chapter 90, and it was surprising how many towns did and how much. I mean, some of them were augmenting it by, they'd like get 500,000 for Chapter 90, and they were getting another 2 million.
I'm sure Westford, right? Isn't they getting there free now because of the paving plan?
Oh, no, yeah.
But so some towns do a significant amount. One of the challenges that we have is, it just takes a lot of work to put the jobs out. We don't just call PJ Albert and say we're going to pave this road. We have to make sure the drains are all good. Then our guys were out there last week backfilling behind curbs and stuff. So we do a fair amount of the odds and ends related to it.
Wouldn't you know, like, if you knew the money was there, though, wouldn't
Yeah.
you feel like instead of saying in the fiscal year you're getting 140,000, if you knew you had 400,000, you'd be planning in
We'd have
advance,
it
right?
planned a little differently, yeah. So.
And you said some towns have a line item for it? Yearly?
Yeah, my town, in my town, I think it's 750,000 in addition to Chapter 90 every year.
What was
Might
Chapter
be
90?
something we should look at.
No,
Our-
it's funny, I thought of that.
Chapter 90, we get about 245,000. We used to get 285,000, and then they looked at we should have had Alan do the employment population. They gave Harvard a bunch of the formula is your miles of road is 50%, your population is 50%, and your employment is 25%. Your employment population is 25%. Our employment population went from 8,000 to 4,000. So that took a big chunk of our.
Yeah, because I was thinking in Pingree Hill we were getting more roads and Crabtree.
And so I talked to the Chapter 90 people, and they said, well, we don't do that part of it. That's done by a different department in the state. And I talked to there was the Department of Labor. I talked to them, and they told me they wouldn't give me the information. It was confidential. And then we talked to
I promise I won't tell anybody.
Senator Eldridge's office, and they had less luck than I did. So what I was disappointed is that they never told us. We just got the next year appropriation. Why is it so much
Amended it
less?
down.
Especially after we approved all these new roads in town.
Well, no, and then that's going to happen. I mean, we're already hearing about the shortfall in the budget and all that, so it's only, Harvey gets all the lottery money, so.
So the last item I had was we had, in early August, we had an update on our parking management study, and I don't know if you put any of I didn't put the whole slide.
I didn't
show,
see these slides,
yeah.
but I actually can pull them from the last meeting.
Okay, I had a couple in the packet, I thought.
It's always the one that has to move, too.
Yeah, they're
They're in the packet.
in the packet.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's.
That's the, yeah. And we've been through this, I think I gave you an update earlier in the year too. So the project goals is everyone in every town has a parking problem. And so the project goals for this was to manage the parking through optimization, pricing regulation, and a phased supply of parking spaces, designate specific on-street and off-street parking regulations and pricing. Now, pricing is kind of key because we don't charge now, and we probably will have to, once the rail trail lot is open for business. This is key, identify necessary signs and locations. As you drive down Main Street, you don't see one sign that says public parking, right?
Correct.
Even where the rail trail is, you gotta hunt for that if you want to take.
Well, even
kids
our
parking.
lot there on Park Street, there's,
Right.
you know.
And then have phased implementation with monitoring and finally establish a parking management program that will encourage investment in Ayer, encourage additional residential development, and enhance the business climate. We have in Ayer, this may have changed a little bit with the town taking part of the Berry lot, but when we did the original, we had 452 off-street spaces, public and private, and 170 on-street spaces. So we have a fair amount of parking. I think the parking problem is related to parking schedules and locations, not so much that you can't find a parking place in town.
I agree with that. I guess our concern is just once the lot's up and
Well,
you're always
so-
going to get those people
right.
who don't want to pay the.
Right.
So the parking issues that we see in town is lack of town-owned parking lots, commuter parking on residential streets,
Pleasant Street.
lack of parking for business employees, or maybe say lack of identified parking. They park where everybody else does. Winter off-street parking, and this is one of my pet peeves, Main Street parking too close to side street intersections and crosswalks.
I agree with that 100%.
So, and we had a lot more detail in the presentation, but I didn't want to take up a lot of time. So what I was hoping to get tonight was some input from the board on some of the management strategies that we presented. And some of these would be phased in as the rail trail lot opens and they start charging, because it's difficult to start charging for parking when you have a big lot over there with no parking.
charge.
And quite frankly, is managing parking meters or parking kiosks and things like that is,
Enforcement. I mean,
and
that's
enforcing is pretty time consuming. So the first one was review parking signage and zones to define 2-hour parking, commuter parking, and resident parking areas, and install new signage as required. That's sort of a just do it that I meet with the police chief, and we come up with if the zones we have are okay, if we want to change them, if they're signed properly, and how do we make sure everybody knows where those are. And this was something that we got a lot of feedback on at the meeting, was establish resident parking only zones, provide parking stickers to residents. The people that live on Pleasant Street, they get yelled at for trying to get out of their driveway by the commuters.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's other places in town where we have similar problems.
West Street to a lesser extent.
Yeah. But
That's how all the cars started back up on Pleasant Street, and now that
they're done, and they were up on when we were doing the work. They all moved up to Lawton Street, and
Lawton Street is kind of.
Yeah, they get creative.
Establish shared parking agreements for Pagemore Building, Federated Church, and Depot Square parking lots, and add signage and line painting in accordance with the agreement. So, we talked to the large lot owners, and they were kind of vague on how much free parking they had. But you go in back of Calvin's Pagemore Building during the day, and about a third of it's being used. But at 5 o'clock at night, when the people start rolling into to the restaurant and the bar and pool hall, he says then it's all bets are off. So we could have some either 2-hour or longer term parking in maybe a dozen spaces, and say, look, we'll sign it, we'll maintain it, we'll enforce it, and have that in some sort of an agreement, and I think we could get some buy-in from the other large lots. And the bank was a little, they just changed management, and they were a little
always parking there.
nervous about
Okay.
it.
Underutilized.
Yeah.
And so is this lot
But
here.
he says sometimes they do training, and when they do training, they need the parking.
Yeah.
So, you could have 2-hour parking there, with signage saying, public parking, but then when they need the training, you just cover over the spaces.
does this part over here ever get used? Besides me, the little dirt walk?
Just as the superintendent said, I think when they have training, it's used, that's
Yeah.
periodic, but
Well, they
otherwise.
told me when they have auditors come in too, they use that
Yeah.
lot because they have an overflow.
The Federated Church, I think Calvin rents that from the church for the billiard leagues. So that would be something else we could work on for.
Have they stopped? They haven't closed officially the fire station, so there's still people parking there, right?
For
But that's
now,
going to
yeah.
stop.
That's good stuff. But there's definitely an opportunity here, I think, to try to maximize some of that parking.
And I know, and everybody has their anecdotal stories about parking, and like in my town, we have plenty of parking, but what do? I want to go to the bank, so I pull right up in front of the bank. Well, there's no parking. So now I have to go around the block because I know there's a parking lot around the block, but then it's all one-way street, so I have to go way down around the block, and then I pull into the next lot, and that one's full. So now I got to go back around the block again and go across Main Street and park in the lot that I should have gone to in the first place. And I think that's pretty typical. Most people say, well, I'm going to go to the dry cleaner, so I'm going to pull up in front. And there's no parking place there. And now you've gone by the sign where you know there's parking.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's habits, and a lot of it's just identifying where people can park. So that's the next strategy, is installing wayfinding signage on Main Street and side streets to direct cars to where there is parking. Mark out parking spaces and no parking areas on Main Street. And now, what I've heard is, and it was part of it was shown as part of our study, that, well, once you start marking out the spaces, then you lose a lot of parking spaces. What we found when we were doing the parking inventory, that, see if I can see the percentage. On Main Street, at some point we had 115% of the, this was at 7:45 at night. It was 110% of the available spaces were used.
No.
So that means people are parking where they really shouldn't be parking.
Right.
But I notice people park on top of crosswalks, and do you get many tickets for that?
I do, and I also get a lot of tickets for parking within 10 feet of an intersection, and the people are like, where does it say that I can't? So it's always a battle between me and working with the police. Another example is overnight parking at the rail trail lot. Sometimes people do it,
Oh, yeah.
and they'll get a ticket, but when they appeal their ticket, their defense is, well, where does it say I can't?
Signage.
And you agree with them because it doesn't say it
Yeah.
anywhere.
Well, that's a
So
good point.
it's
so.
just one of those, we're
Yeah.
working on those issues with the study.
This is something that is a little bit long-term when we do have the parking, pay parking at the rail trail lot, would be install a parking payment kiosk at the Zero Park Street lot.
Yeah.
So,
I think Mark is planning on doing that as part of the project.
for our lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should be paved, lined.
Yeah,
Oh,
that-
they're going to take care of it.
One of the recommendations we had was evaluate and implement angled parking on Central Ave from Columbia Street to the post office entrance. I think that's a little premature at this point because we're not quite sure what we're doing with that intersection long-term and things. But you could probably squeeze in a few more spaces. And they used to have angle parking along.
Angle parking downtown.
Yeah.
which is remarkable now when you think about it, but.
And then the final management strategy is enforce parking violations. I'm not sure how much they do that. I think it's kind of a, oh, I don't have anything to do, I'll walk down Main Street and write tickets.
See, here's the thing, back to we approved and I know the chief's not here, so I'm not taking a shot at it, but we approved a parking officer at Springtown meeting almost a year and a half ago, if you recall. 2 new officers, one was gonna be a parking enforcement officer, parking, what was it, Rob? Traffic management, parking, whatever.
Right, with the 2 new, the chief presented that he was going to create a.
One was gonna be
parking
dedicated to
division. Yeah.
parking divisions. We are now 16, 18 months removed from that, so we need to maybe see what the chief is on that, because
Okay.
that's a question I get a lot from certain people that are in town a lot. I'm sure you probably do as well.
I do.
And he did send an update. It's the staffing and then.
Oh, no, I understand that, but I mean, like, it's when we get asked, like, 18 months is, or whatever it is, 18 months, I mean, there's gotta be some type of update.
Well, and one of the things, just very quickly, what also came up at the night of the forum, Mark's presentation, at least from the police end, and, you know, improved or enforcement or so forth, or some of these things may or may not require resources to enforce, which the parking division would be part of it. So it's a fair question. We'll find out an update.
Mm-hmm.
Did you look at any easy fix for adding parking, municipal parking? Like, for instance, with federated churches, that guardrail?
Yeah, not really. We, we looked at what we had for an inventory, but we didn't look at how we could expand that inventory.
And does the court own the lot
Yes.
across the street too? They own both of them?
Yeah.
And is that overflow parking for Peroni Park? I mean, I see that, I mean, there's a sign there from the courthouse. Is that allowed just because it's off hours from the court?
I think it's just an off hours thing, with the court.
And that lot on across the street is awful. That little lot is that what you're talking about? That little courthouse is here, it's the lot next door? Yeah, it's very kind of boxed in. Yeah.
Well, we were just talking about that too, is that on Prospect Street, all the police officers, out-of-town police officers park on the sidewalk. So.
See, there's a possible, I see it.
So there's no tickets written for that?
Oh, there are.
Good on
Really? Oh, yeah. Good.
We get a lot.
Get on East Main Street. That lower section there.
Right down at the bottom of the stairs.
Right along here, can't we put some parking spaces
We
there?
could, yes.
It's an
Yeah.
opportunity.
Huh?
It's an opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a wasted space there now. I mean, it's not really much. You get the stairs, but
Yeah, and I know
You'd have
some
to cut
commuters
trees.
park there,
Mhm.
and then they walk down East Main and cut across the tracks, which we can't really encourage. But they could walk up the stairs and down Main
Yeah.
Street. And
cut through.
you know,
Frank's entrance.
again, it's a lot of it. What you'll find, even when you expand the parking at the rail trail lot, is that people have their habits that they always park, on Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
So they're going to keep parking on Pleasant
Right,
Street
until they
until
keep
they
getting
can't.
tickets.
Until we
Or there's
have some
meters there.
Yeah.
Or like in Somerville, you have
But
residential parking where you show up at someone's house and you put a tag in your window. Or
It was amazing, Medford, I drove through Medford. They got kiosks, every parking space in town. You have to pay for them.
yeah.
Big business.
Yeah?
it really is.
All right. Done with parking.
So I just, I wanted to present these strategies and get some input from the board and see if there's anything that you thought were deal breakers or anything. And I think a lot of these are kind of just do-its.
Yeah, I agree.
And so what I can do is put together an implementation plan on each one, when we're going to do it, who's going to do it, and then I can start working with the chief on on having parking zones where we need more signage, and then look at some shared parking agreements with the big parking lot owners and see if we can work out some deals.
I think that they're all very good. The one that I'm just curious what you gentlemen think, there may be a little crumbling from a few folks is the Main Street
Yes.
part.
Yeah, you
but-
might have some.
But I think if you weigh it out, it's still the direction to go because it's not delineated. You talked at length at the forum about safety.
We actually had somebody a couple of years ago
Yeah,
that came in and talked about that it was unsafe,
yeah.
that we shouldn't be parking so close to the intersections.
Yeah,
I forget who it was.
Was it Phil? I mean, it was a fatality somewhere, and I remember
I
someone.
think it was Phil Berry.
Yeah. And then we had changed the Mark and the chief at the going up Washington. Remember, people were parked
Yeah.
all the way to
Yeah,
the corner.
yeah.
You couldn't make that
Yeah,
corner.
but you're right, I think you're gonna get some
Yeah. I mean,
comments about it.
I think the perception is that if you don't let them park 10 feet from an intersection or a crosswalk, that's spaces that are lost. But you also, if you don't have marked spaces, you have someone pulls up 6 feet from the car in front of them, and then someone 6 feet from the car behind them,
Right.
and then you've lost a space.
You've lost
So
it.
I think for the most part, I think it'll be more organized and better, but there will be times.
I have no problem with either. With the overall traffic that comes through this downtown on a daily basis now. I mean, we're begging for something bad to happen with the way these intersections are blocked. I mean, legally blocked right now, but I mean, it's
Yeah, I
only a
think
matter
the
of time.
delineation is the way to go.
I'd love to
Yeah.
see actually parking spaces further down Main Street
Yeah.
to stop the people from
Slow-
going around the
slow
other
them
people
down, yeah.
that are taking a left on Columbia.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea as well.
Yeah.
Because
They do that all the time.
Because that person here is now letting this guy pull out
Yeah.
on Columbia, and
Yeah.
this guy is coming around, and
Yeah, it's an issue.
it is. It is.
All right.
So no, all good ideas, Mark.
That's
I
good work.
don't object to any of them.
Okay.
Great. How's my speed sign coming? Are we getting the
I gotta call and find out what's going on. We sent it back to the.
Oh, they were gonna like try to fix that one. Is that what it was?
I think it's some kind of a programming thing because we went through all the troubleshooting.
Mhm.
We couldn't figure it out, and that's why we sent it back to them. But and we are putting up. Hopefully, they'll go up this week in front of the library and the courthouse. Flashing crosswalks with a push
good.
button,
Yeah.
like what they have
Yeah.
down at Kimball's Farm.
Yeah, that does work well. Mike said that was one of the
Yeah.
best things they did over there. Was
Yeah, I put some money in my budget to do that, so I bought that.
Oh, good.
Oh, great.
Guys, we were a little concerned because we did the dig safe and Verizon has a whole bunch of duct banks out there, and I was thinking, oh, now we can't put the foundation in, but the guys went out today and did some
Fine.
test pits, and there's enough depth there. So we're gonna put those up one day this week.
Okay, good.
And the Sandy Ponds road sign's missing at the corner at the island there. It disappeared. I don't know who would have stole the Sandy Ponds road sign. At the fork where it turns into Central,
Yeah,
it disappeared maybe, I don't know, a month or two ago.
we lose the High Street sign a lot.
Yeah, I can see that, the Sandy Pond Road, but
Maybe
It's-
someone named Sandy.
yeah, maybe. But yeah, that because it was the two on the, they look kind of cool too, because you had
Yeah.
it split. Sandy Pond is
Okay.
no longer there.
Yeah, sometimes, what was the other one that they,
Easy Street.
Fox Run?
Huh.
Someone was, what they did is they just start bending it and snap it off.
I've seen towns grease the pole. I put like literally
Yeah.
actual grease on the signpost, so you know that they're
Yeah.
going. I don't know if that's even
Yeah.
DEP approved now. They would come on anyway.
Well, a long time ago when we were in England, we went by one of the soccer stadiums and they had the walls painted with paint that doesn't dry. So the hooligans can't climb up the wall.
Clever.
I like it. I like it.
Thanks,
See you, Mark. Thanks for staying.
We'll put you first
Thank
next
you.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't promise that.
Yeah, then Dan will take my place.
Yeah, Dan will be here. Yeah, I think we did take Dan first last time. You may. Have a good night.
All right, thanks.
Dan doesn't mind, because then he has to go home and
Dad duty.
dad duty.
Yeah.
So,
They didn't go home and-
members of
Dad
the
duty
board.
with the dog.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. In the interest of time, on the administrative update, just a brief point for the meeting on September 19th, sort of a preview. On September 19th, Mark will be coming to present the two conceptual designs for Depot Square for your consideration and discussion.
Is that the engineer or Mark or both?
It's the engineered drawings. There are two concepts
Okay.
for the Depot Square. The second is the town's management audit letter was released today, which I did send to the board. As we discussed on the 19th, we'll put that as an agenda item under my report there, and I'll have the finance
Mr. Gisty comes in?
group here. I don't know if he'll come. There's just a couple of brief points I think are worth discussing. And also on the 19th, Mr. Hillier would like to meet with the board to discuss his operation with the whole recreational marijuana that is still up in the air, but he did want to meet with the board to give an update. And we did meet with him on Friday, had a productive meeting. So that's a lot coming up on the 19th, and now we have the special on the 25th, and then
Which we have to push because 50 people is tough for...
And we have to also push and get together also the October 23rd. I'll have an update on the warrant for the 19th as it's looking. So in the interest of time, I know it's coming up on 10. I just have two brief action items. The first is I'm respectfully recommending Mr. Ken Diskin for appointment as a citizen rep to the town's Energy Committee for a one-year term to expire June 30th, 2018.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then the second, in your packet, there is a request for a one-day beer and wine license for Saturday, September 30th for the St. Mary's Parish event.
4:30 to 9:30?
Yes, 4:30 to 9:30.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And that's it on the action items. So thank you, and more to come for the 19th.
More to come.
Okay, we're back to
First and third, yep.
back to our schedule finally.
I was going to ask you something, but gone.
You know where to find me.
We get minutes.
Yep, August 15th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of August 15.
Second. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something else.
No,
Second.
that's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is throwing me off without having Janice here to second stuff. Sorry. I got through it though. That it?
You got anything for?
Nope, I'm good.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Second,
Aye.
all in favor. All right.